It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
The final 4 seconds tick away. Deion walks it into the front court. The horn sounds, and the Sacramento Kings have won in a live or die last game scenario. Win or go home, and the Kings managed to win.
Not only do the Kings win, they may have put a stake in the Warriors dynasty. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff across the country, Infinity Sports Network. It felt like the end of something last night, Perloff, and I'm not going to predict what the Warriors front office is going to do, but with Klay Thompson's future hanging in the balance, he turns in an 0 for last night. He wasn't the only problem. The Warriors were outclassed and outmatched in almost every single part of this game.
It definitely felt like the end of the 2024 season. I mean, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But, okay, when you say the end of something, it could be the end of Klay Thompson. But does that mean, is that a significant end? Like, if Klay Thompson goes to, say, Orlando in free agency, does that mean that the core is changing, that they're not going to run it back in a sense? Like, tell me what you mean by end.
I mean, the end, Klay leaving.
Yeah, Klay leaving, who's irrelevant now.
Well, yeah, but they kind of needed him a bit after the All-Star break when he wasn't terrible, but this is a bad way to end it, and you can't be doubling down and just giving like loyalty money to try to keep the band together when the band hasn't had a hit in a while. And so I don't know if Klay would be the only change. You know, this is the thing about this organization, and we're talking about the Warriors who lose last night to the Kings and the season's over. You only have how many years left to maximize Steph Curry?
1 or 2.
Okay, so he is still a very appealing player for, in this day and age of the NBA, for other stars to come and team up. And the Warriors have never been afraid of a big swing before. I don't know if I have that for you, but they obviously were interested in LeBron James at the trade deadline this year. Who knows what's going to happen with Giannis? We'll talk about that later on. Paul George is someone who's going to be out there. I don't think you can just do little things around the margins here if you're trying to get a 5th title with Steph Curry. This is going to have to be some major facelift, reconstructive surgery, and I don't know how the Warriors are going to pull it off. I know that's what this team needs.
So you're saying they should add Paul George or something? Yes, of course. Is there a team in the league that should not add a superstar? But honestly, let's talk reality here. How are they supposed to get a young ascending superstar?
Well, Paul George isn't young.
But Paul George, even if you get Paul George, so you had Chris Paul this year, you're going to get a guy at the end who's a bargain. And honestly, they're not going to get Paul George. Somebody's going to get more money to Paul George, I think. So, I mean, if I'm sort of penciling him on the Sixers roster.
You're decked out in Sixers gear. You got a Dr. J jersey under there.
I figured I'd represent.
Allen Iverson shoes.
I'd represent today. No, I don't think they're going to get Paul George. And regardless, like they only have really one option in my mind. They just got to hope that the 2 young guys, Kuminga and Moody, just ascend to stars.
That's not a plan.
They're 21. That's a plan because they're 21. They should be in college. People forget how young these guys are.
In college, not this day and age.
Well, right. They should. Well, regardless, they're so young. What if they get Klay out of the way and hope that the young guys advance and meet Steph Curry where he is? That might be your best plan. I know this is not ideal. I'm not saying this is what they want to do, but I don't see how they're going to choice. They're not going to be able to trade Draymond Green for a real asset. The dude's getting tons of money. He doesn't fit on any other team. Does any other team need a 6'5" center who's an assist machine?
Well, the problem is that you could have a 6'5" center when you were faster than everybody, and when you were a better shooter than everybody, and when you were crisper than everybody, and you were better passers than everybody. And that's just not what the Warriors are anymore. And it did feel like a real ending with a thud because it's not like this team wasn't expected to do anything. This is a team that's $177 million into luxury tax.
Yeah.
And shockingly, that's not even the highest you can be into the luxury tax. They have the biggest payroll in the entire league, but the ownership group has shown all in before. They can take their medicine to try to maximize the end of the Curry era. And again, you could say, well, of course everybody wants Paul George, but and you'll have some competition, but Curry and playing alongside Curry is extremely, extremely appealing. I'll tell you the one thing that the Warriors cannot do. They cannot be overly loyal here. We see this sometimes with teams, and it can drive a fan base crazy. And I know that the Warriors and the Northern California, the Golden State Bay Area, what am I trying to say? Bay Area fans are going to love Klay forever. But how long do you have to show loyalty? So here was Draymond Green. Carlos, can we play cut 12? He says he thinks the Warriors are going to do the right thing by Klay and show loyalty to him.
I got no reason to go into it like, oh, man, they're not going to do right by Clay. They did right by me. They've done right by Steph. They've done right by all of us. You know, Clay tore his ACL. They paid him $160 million. So I have no reason to think that our ownership group aren't going to take care of us the way we've taken care of this organization.
What are you guys, a Supreme Court? Is it a lifetime appointments? Do you get to play the Warriors to the end of time? Let's hear more from Draymond. Cut 11. He says he trusts the Warriors to treat Clay with respect.
If Joe or Mike or anybody felt that it was best that this team moved forward without Clay, that wouldn't be the decision they make because they believe that. You know, they've shown nothing but respect, loyalty, love, trust to us.
So you're telling me that even if they know it's the right move, they're not going to make it? What kind of team operates that way?
This is a teammate talking about one of his good friends' contract. What would you expect him to say? Of course he's saying this. Of course he's going to say they should reward Clay. That doesn't mean anything for team building purposes at all, right?
It doesn't, but I
mean,
think,
what choice would Draymond have to say after the game?
Well, I don't know if you have to go that far to say, even if the organization knows it's not the right thing, they're going to do it anyway. That doesn't help Clay. How does that? You're acknowledging that this would not be the right move.
Is there any connection between Draymond's post-game press conference and what the Warriors are going to do? I would hope Draymond Green is running the show here. Of course he's going to say this. Wouldn't you say that about me, even if you knew I was on the way out? I would hope so.
Listen, we can't keep everybody. No, of course I would.
This is teammate talk.
You're asking what kind of power does Draymond Green have an organization where he was caught on camera punching a teammate, and the first question the organization asks is who leaked the tape, not why did he do this? And he of course has tons of power.
No, of course he does not. Do you think Draymond on that question would say, you know what, I've looked at this the luxury tax, and I think honestly it's time to move on from Clay?
You don't think that Steph Curry had a hand in bringing Draymond back?
Regardless, what is Draymond going to say last night? I mean, is there any chance he goes, I've crunched the numbers and I love Klay Thompson, but I think it's time to move on?
All you have to do
How
is
would you
say,
answer
I love
that question?
Klay Thompson. I love Klay Thompson, and I can't imagine playing without him. Boom, period. You don't have to say they owe it to him. You have to say, they paid him $160 million. He is getting into Clay's bank account there. He's getting into his pocket because he's mentioning they paid him $160 million after he tore his ACL. Then he went on to tear the Achilles, and obviously Clay's done a great job coming back from that. But
I would hope Draymond would say all this about Klay Thompson because they all owe each other a big favor here. So even if Klay doesn't come back, Draymond's helping his market for whatever team he goes to next. This is all good.
Man,
you got to say this. And if the front office, maybe they brought back Draymond because Draymond helped them win. That was a purely calculating move.
Draymond has helped them win, and he's also contributed to them losing as well because he's off the rails at times.
But they didn't bring back Draymond because Steph Curry wanted him there as a friend. They brought him back because they thought that he helped them win, and he definitely did, right? So they're kind of calculating in that sense. I don't think they're bringing back Clay at a big number. Honestly,
and I don't know who else is giving Clay any kind of big contract. He's a second unit guy at this point.
Yeah, there are some reports like a young team that needs a culture guy. I'll give him $30 million a year, which is not like nothing.
Magic are reportedly circling the waters. So I don't know if they saw anything last night to make them think that they want him. But
also, it doesn't seem like things are going pretty well with the Magic. Anyway, but that's a conversation for another time.
Clay and Paul George, same age, just so we're clear. Like Paul George is, let's get older. That is not a strategy either. I don't think they're going to get Paul George. I think they got to, I know this is not a plan. Just hope these young guys become stars. And Kuminga could.
Okay, and he was good. He was basically the only really good Warrior in the second half last night in terms of scoring the ball. But I don't know if hope and pray is what you can bank on for the last 2-3 years of Steph Curry's prime. That's not really.
Give me a better option.
Well, I'm saying big game hunting. I'm saying that, we were just talking about this in February. It's April. We were talking about this in February that they might be looking at LeBron. And I know the Lakers won last night. We'll talk about that and Zion's injury and everything, but they were clearly looking at upgrades, thinking about LeBron. Yeah. We're not sure what's going to happen with Giannis. You're not sure what's going to happen with Paul George. So there's a lot of moving parts around this thing. You can't just throw your hands up in the air and say, oh, well, we tried. No. You're the Warriors with Steph Curry. You're trying to rip off another title while he's in his prime. I know they think they're light years ahead. Let's see what they have this offseason because I think you need some changes.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Milwaukee, I'm calling up Golden State and saying, well, why don't you give me, why don't you give me Jackson Davis for LeBron, Giannis? How are you getting Giannis? That's the plan, is to get Giannis or LeBron. Why don't you just get Luka? And why don't you give me Shai Gilgeous-Alexander?
Luka's not available right now. Shai's not available right now.
This is a real team with real salary cap.
LeBron's not so crazy. He could leave. I mean that's we will talk about LeBron and his offseason. We'll do that all summer long.
Okay, LeBron might be, but LeBron's 40. I mean, this is definitely not a position to try. Toward the end, he sort of did.
Well, I mean, a couple step back threes that maybe they could have done without. But
I'll tell you, Zion, when he was on the court, was looking at LeBron like, man, that guy's 40. I'm going to blow right past him every time.
Zion was taking it to him. He really was.
Okay, I'll give you maybe like a LeBron, but I don't think there's going to be a Giannis transformative player. I think they're going to have to go with an old guy who's available, just like they did this offseason when Chris Paul did not work at all. So maybe, but that's a tweak. To me, that means the core stays intact. The core is Steph Curry and Draymond Green and these young guys.
And Steve Kerr.
And listen, I understand what you're saying. You're right. They should be as aggressive as possible. I'm just not sure that's a realistic outcome here.
Okay, so let's play this out. And let's say that the Warriors, whether they bring back Clay or they don't, or they go with the young guys and they try to keep developing these young guys, and that's the plan, right? And that's the plan. And maybe you stay with Wiggins and, you stay with...
No one's taking Wiggins' contract.
No, I don't know. He's got 2 years left, I believe, and then a player option. It's about $26 million or so. But let's play this out. And let's say that you get more seasons like this. I'm not saying Draymond leaves for 14 games or whatever, but let's say you get more seasons like this where you're basically a mediocre team in the West, where you're hovering around 45 wins or 40 wins. It's not good enough to get you a top seed because the Western Conference is bonkers right now. And you never make it past the second round. What's going to be the reaction from the Warrior fan and the NBA fan when Steph is now past his prime and you'll look back at the last 5 years and you'll say they never went for it again? They never really tried again. They hoped Kuminga and Moody and Podziemski, all these guys, we hoped that they were going to grow into it, but you know what? They never did. I think Warrior fans would have a lot of regret. I think they would say, man, they really needed to, there was a pivot point after the 2023-2024 season, and they took one path, and they should have taken another. What was it? I don't understand this other path. There is no other path. They screwed up. It's the NBA. There's always a path. Well, I mean, I don't think there is for this team. I don't think the cavalry's coming. The reality is they screwed up. They didn't screw up. I mean, they made a terrible pick in Weissman. And you look back in the last 5 years, they're not going to regret. They won a title. Yep. They eked out a title out of this old team. I just think the reality is I think you're living in a little bit of a fantasy world that old teams don't get old. I mean, that's the reality. Look at LeBron and the Lakers. I mean, they're sort of having the same kind of thing. They're not. It's really hard to build a super team around a guy who's in his late 30s. I don't think this option is out there for the Warriors. Everything you say, of course, you're right. They should be as aggressive as possible, but look at, they don't even really want to be. Isn't there a thought out there they don't want to pay the luxury tax, as much luxury tax? So I don't know where they're going to get these guys from. Well, and Paul George, by the way, I don't see that as a surefire solution because he's old and injury prone too. So until the Warriors front office and ownership stop paying the luxury tax, I'll never believe that they won't. They've been very all in. I think that they deserve the benefit of the doubt here. So until they actually do that and make these cost-cutting measures, I really can't say because they've been a good ownership group. They seized the moment, they realized what they had, and they appeared to spare no expense. I think they need to build around the margins. I mean, they need to add one or two big veteran players and hope and pray that Moody and Kuminga just turn into Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Man, what a failure. Hope and pray. 855-212-4227. No, listen, they're draft picks. I get it, but failure, like what? Where was their failure? What was their bad decision? No, I'm saying in the future, moving forward, that would be the failure to not do everything you can to maximize. What can? Well, what's the can? I gave you three options, and I'm giving you more. Giannis is your option. Well, we'll see about Giannis because that's what's kind of swirling around right now with a lot of things going on with the Milwaukee Bucks. I would assume you need to send a gigantic haul to get Giannis away from Milwaukee. What did Golden State have to offer? Well, you have salaries that could match. You do have that. And but it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be pretty. But here's what you're forgetting. This is the NBA, where the stars most times get to tell you where they want to go. I watched Kevin Durant say, I want to go to the Phoenix Suns, and I'm not going anywhere else. And you want to know what? They made it work. So Giannis, it's not like, if he actually does want to leave, and again, we'll get into this later. We're talking about the Warriors and their future right now and how they can maximize the end of Steph Curry's career. But if you're talking about someone like Giannis, if he does end up wanting to leave Milwaukee, this is going to be like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's going to tell them he's going to L.A., or he's going to tell them I'm going to Golden State, and then everyone else is going to have to adjust.
Yeah, that's not happening. Not Golden. There's no way. Honestly, Bucks would be better off just letting Giannis sit there than take on a bunch of bad contracts from Golden State.
It doesn't work like that.
It will work. He's not going to Golden State. Maybe the Lakers. I like that move. That kind of makes sense. Milwaukee to LA. That's a move we've seen before. Obviously with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I just don't see, if you're looking at the assets of Golden State, there's no way they're going to outbid everyone for Giannis. And Bucks are just, I understand superstar stuff from power, but come on, from the Bucks, like, give me a 50-year-old Draymond, and what else are you going to give it? And Moses Moody for Giannis Antetokounmpo? No.
Well, I'm giving you 3 options. You're asking for them. And I'm giving you LeBron, Giannis, and Paul George. And I'm also giving you the line in the sand here, or the roads, the 2 divergent roads here that it feels like the Warriors have in front of them. And one is to just keep going the way it's going. Run it back, maybe bring back Clay, maybe don't. Keep going with the young guys and hope that you can, develop these dudes. And then the other one is really going full throttle and trying to maximize the end of Steph Curry's career, whatever that looks like. 855-212-4227. Want to hear from you. Which way do you think the Warriors should go? We know we're on in the Bay Area. Probably tough morning. A little salty, I get it. Especially it's the Kings. Lighting the beam. Putting the dagger in. It was a long goodbye last night, too. 855-212-4227. It's Maggie and Perloff. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. All right, we're talking about old NBA guys today. LeBron, Steph lost, LeBron won. So I think one of the big questions about this game is if Zion doesn't get hurt, would the Pelicans have won that game? And you guys think they would. I don't think. The Pelicans are not a great team. Everyone around Zion is meh to me. So I think the Lakers are going to win that game anyway. At some point, just LeBron early in the game took a charge from Zion Williamson and then said, I'm not going to get in his way again the rest of the game.
Oh, LeBron took a couple hits last night.
Yeah, he took one from Zion, then he took one from Herb Jones. He's like, yeah, Herb, you can run it to me. I don't think LeBron just kind of stayed out of Zion's way the rest of the game. At the end of the game, I thought the Lakers were going to win that game. You saw, to me, why the Lakers are interesting because Anthony Davis can be really good when he wants to.
Yep.
And LeBron, for the most part, still has it going. He kind of got a little cold last night, kind of got a little tired on defense. But I still think I saw a contending team in the Lakers last night. Now they're 3-0 in the play-in tournament. Historically, I don't know if that's good.
That means you spent a lot of time in the play-in tournament.
But I think it's just like last year. Like it feels very much like last year where they are a play-in team who is not a play-in team. Does that make sense? They're like a real playoff team. So they'll play Denver. And honestly, I think they have just as good a shot as anyone against Denver. It doesn't feel like there's another team out there that Denver is more scared of than the Lakers because they do have LeBron. They have AD. You saw Austin Reeves is always contributing, and D'Angelo Russell can shoot now.
Was big last night.
Yeah, all of a sudden he's found his three-point shot. So they have all the elements to at least challenge the Nuggets. And as Magic tweeted the other day, Magic Johnson, they lose all the time, the Nuggets, but they play them close. So that's something. So playing them close is the best you could do.
I love it. Magic, the Associated Press of Twitter feeds.
I saw a big sort of versatile team last night that is interesting to me. I'm not writing off the Lakers in this series. I think they're probably the best shot against this Nuggets team.
They are, but you mentioned it down the stretch. So Lakers win, obviously. They were up big, though. They were up 18 points, and the Pelicans erased that 18-point deficit largely on the back of Zion Williamson, a little Jose Alvarado. And then as they're tying the game with 3 minutes left to go, that's when Zion got hurt. Yeah. It's like, he's had a 40-point game last night. He was awesome in the fourth quarter when he started really, he was good in the whole game, but when he really started getting going in the fourth and you could taste it, this was like, all right, here's what we've been really waiting for with Zion, right? This is the thing that we've been waiting for. And then he gets hurt, he leaves the game, and he never comes back, and we don't hear till much, much later that it's a hamstring. And now they've got to rest up because they're going to be playing the Kings, obviously, to see who has the right to go on and play Oklahoma City as the top seed.
But, I mean, they also, too, there was a couple Trey Murphy 45-foot shots that there was some definitely, like, all of a sudden the Pelicans got hot from three. I'm not sure Zion was definitely winning that game. There were 3 minutes left when he went out. Yeah, it felt like pumping there in New Orleans, but either way, the Lakers were going to get out of this play-in.
Okay, so maybe, but if we're just going through the end of that game, then we can talk about the Lakers and what it means for them facing Denver in a second. They were really found something in the fourth quarter when you had Ingram and McCollum were not on the court because these guys were not great last night. Obviously, Ingram's coming back from injury, and McCollum was 1 for 9 from three-point land, not helping. A lot of empty offensive possessions. And because Zion had that other team around him with Alvarado off the bench, and you mentioned Murphy, they really had something cooking here. I thought they were going to win that game. And also, LeBron played 41 minutes last night. AD played 40. You know, that's the kind of thing that makes you pause for a second if you're a Laker fan. Like, okay, yes, could we go toe-to-toe with the Nuggets? But if you're talking game after game in the series that LeBron's got to play 41 minutes, you're going to get tired LeBron, which looks like a lot of settle for threes and threes that hit the front of the rim. So they've got to do this balancing act here. I'm excited to see this series, and maybe the Lakers can win a game or two, but not if LeBron has to play this kind of minutes load.
Yeah, I mean, it's playoffs. There's no minutes load talk here. He's been kind of resting.
And they're not going to win.
Well, I mean, listen, they're gigantic underdogs. So they're going against the defending champion who looks just as good this year as they did last year. I just think that at least they feel like they have a puncher's chance because maybe they can outlast the Nuggets somehow. I have no idea how they're going to do this. Rui Hachimura played really well in last year's playoffs and showed up again. I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but at least you have a puncher's chance, which I think the best of the Lakers could hope for this season. I don't know. I'm not sure what to say. Are the Lakers favorites? Of course not. But they're going to have to face the Nuggets at some point anyway. Everybody is. So you might as well do it now before LeBron gets even more tired. You think 40 minutes in the play-in? What about if he had to play Minnesota and play 45 minutes a game for 7 games and then go to play Denver? This is probably the best possible scenario.
855-212-4227. Are you giving the Lakers what kind of chance? How do you want to
puncher's
phrase
chance?
that?
And also, too,
chance?
they had to win last night. Everyone who thought they should lose intensely, I think the Kings own the Lakers. They would have definitely beaten them. The way the Kings shot last night, if they did that to the Lakers, they win easily, too. I think they're 4-0 this year against the Lakers, and all of a sudden they're dangerous from three-point land. I assume everyone thinks the Kings are going to advance, too. That'll be a fun series.
But don't the Kings, what's their record against the Pelicans this year, Bogusch? I feel like you have this. Right. They're 0-5 against the Pelicans. So,
but Brandon Ingram's coming up with an injury. I assume Zion's gone for at least, 8 to 10 months? A lot of those games.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to see Zion until, what's a year from now? We're going to see him maybe around All-Star break.
You think it's that bad?
I mean, it's the exact same injury that happened against the Sixers last time he got hurt. It was just a normal play. He walked off. He's like, something feels wrong. And then we didn't see him again for a calendar year. There's no way a non-contact injury like that is working out.
Man, it's so disappointing.
But him, though, isn't it also, though, last time, wasn't it also like the weight? He gains a lot of weight during the time where he's hurt, and that also becomes part of the problem, too, that he can't really rehab the way he's supposed to.
He looks so jacked right now.
He looks awesome right now.
If he left with 3 minutes left and couldn't come back in that game with all the adrenaline flowing through his body and the season on the line, you think he's coming back after 24 hours? No.
Okay, so I thought about that. I'm like, I can't believe he couldn't gut it out. You know, that's like the first thing your mind goes to. You know, if you could actually walk off the court, how did you not get back out there for at least the last minute or whatever? And what I think happened, I don't know, were they saying, listen, maybe he could play in the next game against the Kings, so let's keep him out now. We know we have a second shot at this thing. We have the home game, so let's keep him out, and we'll just live to fight another day. And then if they can beat Sacramento, who they've had their number now for, what'd you say again, Bogusch?
0-5.
0-5. Then maybe you're getting a first round matchup with the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's still possible.
I hope that's the case, that they were like, oh, maybe we can get it back. But I think, and I don't know the injury. It might even be the other leg. But if it's a repeat of the last hamstring injury, I think that they're like, oh, this is it. Honestly, if he's not coming back for the other Lakers game, I'll bet anyone here he's not going to play. And if he plays, he'll play for 8 minutes. I mean, he is so explosive. If you take his hamstring away, what is Zion? He's definitely not he's definitely not a guy who can hang around the perimeter and not jump. Yeah. He's got to be full. Has he ever come back from an injury quicker than we thought? It's the exact opposite.
No, but at least to EJ's point, like his body's in good shape right now. It appears to be. I don't know if that even matters for a hamstring. Andrew Bogusch is here. He's got more headlines, even more headlines.
And they're all sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career path with flexibility and great pay and benefits? Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today. My beloved NHL needs no gimmicks like the play-in tournament. They simply decide everything within their 82-game season. The final playoff spot in the Eastern Conference came down to last night. The Capitals were in with a win in Philadelphia, but those Flyers and the Red Wings also alive for that final spot. So we're in Philly. The Caps and Flyers tied at 1. Late in regulation. Philly has to win in regulation to make the postseason. Overtime doesn't do that trick. So head coach John Tortorella went all in and pulled his goalie with multiple minutes left, hoping that extra skater would get the go-ahead goal. He was wrong.
Along the right side, they pull the goalie, and they score! T.J. Oshie puts it in for the right circle as Ersson went to the bench, and Oshie has given the Capitals a lead. 3 minutes to go.
That's John Walton on Caps Radio. Now, here's the kicker for the Flyers.
Yeah.
About a minute before Tortorella's gamble, the Red Wings had scored with 3 seconds left in their game to force overtime in Montreal. And by doing that, they eliminated the Flyers from playoff contention. So there was no reason for Tortorella to take such a gamble against Washington.
I got info on the Detroit game right after they scored their empty netter. I think it happened pretty close together. But I was pulling them. I'm pulling them, and that was the right time to pull them.
Yeah, it was so close. There's no way he could have found out fast enough unless they were watching the game on the bench to make him not pull the goalie, which when the original scenario presented itself was the right thing to do. In the end, the Caps win in Philly 2-1, so they get the last wild card spot. They'll face the Rangers in round 1 starting this weekend.
I don't understand why anyone is mad at Tortorella. Like, what's he supposed? What do the Flyers care? What they have, unless they happen to know that it was a minute difference. I'm hearing a lot. Like, is Detroit like blaming the Flyers for this? This feels really unfair.
I think there's also angst in Philly because they struggled down the stretch and missed the postseason when they were in position for almost the entire, like 3/4 of the year to make it.
Right, but there's no real backlash against what Tortorella did.
No, because the timing was too tight.
But I have seen on Twitter, like, people are killing the Flyers.
Well, because it's a backfire when you get the empty netter. That's just, it's a sad way for it to end. It's rare.
No, but everyone's saying he screwed up the competitive balance of the playoffs, and that's just not fair.
No, and the Red Wings did win their game, so they would have gotten in had Washington lost. But again, it was 1-1 late in regulation, and if the Caps had gotten to overtime, they would have been okay anyway. So it's just, it was not as reckless as people wanted to.
Because this thing with how many years now for the Red Wings?
Oh, not in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean it's. I saw Buffalo and the Red Wings are the 2 longest streaks in pro sports
13.
right now. Yeah. So anyway, I feel like this is unnecessary heat on my hometown team.
Yes,
which is rare.
Because
usually we deserve
still?
it.
Yeah. You're a Flyer fan still?
No,
okay.
Definitely not. Not the last 8 games.
You're the Vegas Golden Knights fan.
If they had made the playoffs, yes. I love the Golden Knights.
Elsewhere on ice, the Canucks clinched the Pacific Division with a 4-1 decision over the Flames. The Panthers won the Atlantic by beating the Leafs 5-2 and the Bruins losing to Ottawa 3-1. And the Jets clinched home ice in round 1 with Colorado with a 4-3 win over Seattle. Now to the NBA, and Zion putting up those 40 points and 11 boards, but then that early exit left leg soreness. The Lakers took advantage, getting a 110-106 win in New Orleans. They're the 7th seed. They'll face the Nuggets in round 1. The Pels now host the Kings Friday to decide number 8. Here's head coach Willie Green postgame on Zion.
Right now, we know his left leg soreness, and he's going to get some imaging on it tomorrow, and we'll figure out more. That's the report that I got back. I haven't talked to him or anything like that, but we'll see how we feel. We'll see what happens tomorrow when we get the results back.
The Kings, meanwhile, have left Sacramento, going through Chicago to get to New Orleans for this game on Friday, all thanks to their 118-94 rout of those Warriors. Keegan Murray, 32 points, 24 from De'Aaron Fox. Mookie Betts, 5 hits, 2 RBI, 2 runs scored. The Dodgers 6-2 home win over the Nationals. Betts leads the majors with a .388 batting average. Ranger Suarez, a complete game shutout for the Phillies. 5-0 winners over the Rockies, and the Blue Jays held off the Yankees 5-4. The Bombers have dropped 3 in a row, will lose their first series of this season.
Wait, sorry. Why is anyone throwing a complete game right now? I get it's a shutout, but it wasn't a no-hitter. No, I know that, but it seems to really go against what every baseball, like if you have a no-hitter going this early in the season, I get it, but it's still a question because you're still kind of working your way into,
Yeah, he threw 112 pitches.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Did they not like him? Did they not care about him hurting himself? He's actually been really good,
He's
too.
awesome, yeah.
But I just didn't understand. I thought, wow, a complete game shutout. Good for you.
Wait, is
Especially in a
100
5-0 game too? Like
That's what I'm
if it's
saying.
1-0, maybe say, okay, look, we want to get this game, but
Was
5-0 over
112
the Rockies is as locked in as you could possibly be at this point.
Wait, is 112 that egregious though? I don't
It's
think
not
that's
egregious,
not
but it's
crazy.
a lot for this day and age.
This day and age, it's
To go for a complete game shutout, not for a no-hitter.
Like it was a normal game. I feel like that number is at least manageable for them. But
I mean, maybe you're really trying to save the bullpen right now and
Yeah.
try to give them a night off. But
Could
again,
be.
at what cost?
In
Like you're
April?
up five runs to EJ's point. It is April, which listen, there's teams who definitely burned out their bullpens in April. We've seen that.
that game was over. That was one of the fastest games I've ever seen. It was like 8:15, and I'm like, Phillies win 5-0. Maybe the
That's what happens.
does the speed of the game and the pitcher being warm. I'm trying to think of an excuse here, because now you have me nervous that the Phillies are burning out their starters.
This game took 2 hours and 7 minutes.
Go baseball.
2 hours and 7 minutes. Yeah, you could. What are you gonna? They didn't even have time to pull him. It was moving too fast.
Can you even get drunk in that amount of time if
Yeah,
you go to a
yes.
game? How many beers can you have in 2
Rob
hours? You
Thompson,
gotta,
oh no, he's back out there. Wait, we didn't get the bullpen ready.
Bryce Homer too. You didn't mention that.
No, on purpose. The Miami Dolphins will exercise their fifth-year options on Jalen Waddle and linebacker Jalen Phillips, who's coming off an Achilles tear. Waddle just saw the Eagles give Devontae Smith a 3-year extension worth $51 million guaranteed. And golf's ratings swoon continued at the Masters despite Scottie Scheffler's best effort. Sunday's final round on CBS averaged only 9.58 million viewers. That's a 20% decrease from last year. ESPN did say that its Thursday and Friday coverage did very well, mostly with Tiger playing in those windows. But overall, it seems this is a blame almost exclusively on the PGA versus Live. These ratings losses for the last year or so have been significant and consistent for PGA.
which is crazy because we talked about this, right? Whether this is going to matter because you can have all the PGA and Live guys together for these majors. So, like, who cares? The audience should come back, but they're not. I think also it's like this was a tight pack, for the most part. I know Scheffler ends up pulling away on Sunday and he won by 4 strokes, but it's not like he was bad by 6 strokes or 7 strokes. I mean, this was still.
No, I mean, one point there was like a 3 or 4 way tie as they made the turn on Sunday.
I was shocked. And we talked about Scottie Scheffler and him being the face of golf and whether or not that's a good thing. I know 2 years ago when he won, the ratings were back up around 10 million or so. But again, is this like a ho-hum Scottie Scheffler at all?
I don't think we're on.
I think it is.
No, I don't think
I don't
we're
think
on.
Scottie Scheffler puts seats in the butts on the seats.
I
What's
don't-
the expression?
Yeah, butts in the
That,
seats.
please.
That's awkward.
I don't think we're on specific.
Ouch.
No, thank you. Although
Tony
that might get
Giovanni's rolling
viewers.
over at AEW.
Put a seat in your butt.
Man, you really gotta.
I am terrible with little expressions like that. But Scottie Scheffler, it turns
Hell of an
out,
image.
we actually argued on Monday. I was like, it's good to have Scottie Scheffler as a dominant force in the sport. Man, was I wrong.
No, but I
Spit out
don't
my
think
coffee.
I don't think you are. I think this is about the bigger issues within the game.
No,
It's not,
I still don't think it is. If you're talking, obviously, if Tiger was in contention, it would have been twice that number.
but Tiger, there's always a Tiger bump.
Yeah.
Right.
This issue has existed at every major event for since Live happened. The ratings have started to slowly creep down, and they've been consistently bad at every major event, whether they're an actual major or not, for the last 18 months. It's not just about Scheffler. He maybe could help it if he was playing shirtless and chugging beers, but it's bigger than just one person right
But
now.
I thought last year's Masters had a pretty good rating.
Last year, but they were on Easter Sunday. So the idea that last year's number was this much north of this year's number was because people were home or out watching things. They're giving Easter credit for last year. Last year was more of the outlier in the last 3 or 4 years than this one being down is.
I think it's Scheffler. I think it's kind of a little like UConn basketball too. Like you want some real drama. There wasn't. I think UConn, the title game didn't do any huge number too because everyone knew UConn was going to win. Kind of boring, kind of mechanical. I think they need a new face. I've decided move on from Scheffler.
Wow, that's
give me a young
That's
guy.
a big 180 from Monday when you
I mean,
love
look
Scheffler.
Look at the final group. I mean, honestly,
I'm
Kyle
getting
Morikawa and
ratioed.
Scheffler. It's like, what is that? A nice off? Like, what's going on here? This is not. It's not Tiger and Phil coming down the back nine. You have to admit, it's not the sexiest group there.
The other part about this, the fact that ESPN is saying that they were really up on Thursday and Friday because of Tiger. Again, it just kind of shows there's been a lot of guys who have come like, oh, this is going to be the guy post-Tiger, and we've got the next guy, and they just don't. And that's not their fault, I guess. It's not.
Yeah.
But they just have not found that guy yet. Just like the NBA couldn't find their guy after Jordan until
Definitely.
LeBron came. It was a long time.
What if Scheffler starts chasing major records or something like that? If
You got to wait for a while for that.
he wins 5 or 6. I think if Scheffler gets really, really good, because we've seen other guys win 2 majors and sort of fade a little bit. I think there was a point where Dustin Johnson got hot. There was a lot
Jordan
of
Spieth
guys.
was supposed to be
Brooks
the next
Koepka.
guy.
Brooks Koepka certainly is a great player in the majors. They need somebody to go 8 deep.
But you said the other day, golf, the real personality guys are the outliers. Golf likes golfers. They like guys that play well. They like dominance. They like expertise.
Yeah.
They like Scotty Scheffler. They like Jack Nicklaus. They don't. I don't think boring is necessarily the problem.
Right.
This problem is because half of the good players in the world have completely disappeared.
Yeah.
It's taken so much cachet away from the sport.
This is where I do agree with Bogusch. I think the live part has played a role just because, again, you get no momentum on anything. I don't even know where to find a live. If I wanted to go and watch now and say, oh, Bryson DeChambeau, I'm a fan now because, you guys keep telling me and bringing up the fact that I said off the air that I thought he looked handsome one day. Thank you for continuing to say that.
I thought
I couldn't even find
I
I wouldn't be
didn't
able
know
to,
you said it.
I wouldn't know where to find him.
He's the MIP of looks. I'll go out there and say Bryson DeChambeau looked great. I don't know what.
MIP, most
He looked so
improved player.
puffy before. I don't know if he's using a new skincare routine, but he looks great. But that being said,
That has to be it.
I do really disagree. No one ever knew what the PGA event after the Masters was. I mean, do you know what it is this week?
No, but Scheffler's playing in it.
Yeah, and I actually do because it's always in
What is
Hilton
it?
Head and it's always Hootie's event.
Oh,
You should know that.
You should know that. You guys
It's
are friends.
always Hootie's event the week after the Masters.
That's the name of it, Hootie's event.
in Hilton Head or Myrtle Beach. It's always Hootie's event
Okay.
because it's been a big radio thing. We almost went one
That's
year.
what Hootie always invites us down for.
Yeah.
Darius always
Week
invited
after-
us down for.
Yep.
That's a PGA event? I thought
Yeah.
it was some fun Myrtle Beach thing.
No,
Why didn't you guys go if you got invited?
it costs money.
No.
Were you not,
it was,
were you not expecting that?
Well, I think it was a lot of ESPN guys. Darius is really close with everyone at ESPN. I just think that the PGA event, it's not a big enough thing. No PGA tournament that's not a Master. We would
Waste
go
management?
No, I think we would have gone. We went to Pebble Beach every year because it's Pebble Beach. It's insane. But that's the thing. I just don't think these PGA events have ever moved the needle. If Tiger was there, I think it's actually Scotty. I've changed my mind.
Well, but move the needle or not, the ratings are down from a previously higher number. So
Right.
people
But
were
ratings are
there
down
at
for
the
every sport except the NFL.
Right, but the point is there were people watching and now they're not. So you can't say that they never moved the needle. They established repetitive ratings numbers that they're no longer matching, and it lines up with when the live split happened.
All right. I mean,
Does bring some facts.
yeah, I can't argue with those facts, but I still think most people who I know who watch the Masters do not watch the weekly PGA events. It never did. Sorry, Bogusch. I didn't know you were such a huge off-week guy.
I'm not. I just
This is his new. This is Bogusch watching PGA.
The other day, right? I should have, when you were breaking down the leaderboard of the Valspar Open, I was like, "What? This must be for an update." But I guess it's a real passion.
Just for fun,
It's a
yeah.
passion project.
I don't think the Valspars happened yet, by the way. That was the Shell Houston Open you're thinking of.
Thank you so much to Bogusch. Coming up, should they pay or should they not? We're talking about some big-time quarterbacks in the NFL. Could be on the cusp of some major paydays. Don't move. It's Maggie Perloff.
Seats in the butts.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
Been told there's a theme to today's rejoin music from Carlos.
Good luck figuring it out.
John Denver?
Well, you got the artist, but that's not the theme.
Okay.
Well, it's singers who have the same last name as a team that is in the NBA playoffs.
That is very, very close.
Or a city that's in the NBA playoffs.
That's exactly what it is. I'm playing songs for the Western Conference teams, and since I don't know any artists from Denver, I'm just going to play John Denver for the Nuggets.
So I was right. Wow.
Wow, Perloff.
There's nobody like, I guess Houston's not in the playoffs. That's a Allen Houston.
Wait, hold on. Let's get this straight. You're playing artists who hail from cities of Western Conference playoff teams, but you didn't know anyone from Denver, so now you're playing John Denver.
Correct.
There's got to be some singers from Denver.
Wait, who was the last
one? So the first
one?
song was Blake Shelton, who's from Oklahoma.
Yeah, I would not have got that.
Hey, why'd you choose the Western Conference? Just
because they played.
Yeah, they played last night.
All right.
I can't.
Oh, I know. Okay, so Minnesota has got to be Prince, right?
Oh, that's going to be fun.
Come on. Can we get there? So now I'm not going to play Prince out of principle.
You're going to go L.A., you got Tupac.
No, I'm going to play just something really dumb for Minnesota now. Watch it. You'll see. You ruined it.
What's some kind of polka player? Some polka band?
No, it's an interesting one.
Polka taking strays here.
Who's from Phoenix? Oh, the Phoenix. Should we know?
No, there's got to be.
From Arizona, there's got to be somebody.
There's people from everywhere.
Yeah, but there's a lot of quarterbacks from Phoenix. I can't think of a lot of big musicians from Phoenix off the top of my head.
Well, what about Sacramento? Let's go there now. Leland is on the line, wants to talk about the game last night. Kings win, Warriors go home, Dynasty could be over. Hey, Leland, how are you?
Good morning, Maggie and Perloff. I'm doing well, thanks. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. What's your thoughts on the game last night?
All I can say is, wow, what an entertaining game. It seemed like the Kings just pulled away at one point. I think they were up 18 points in the first half, and they were taking the ball away, preventing all the stars on the other side, particularly Steph Curry. He didn't seem to be a factor. So I wanted to ask you, is this the end of an era for the Warriors? Is Sacramento that good, or did the Warriors just play bad? I was really happy with the result, and
I'm sure you were, Leland. I think you got a little from column A, a little from column B. Not a cop-out answer. Just want to explain it. One, Sacramento was so ready for Golden State last night. They were more physical. They were all over Curry. He did, 6 turnovers in this game? I mean, they were relentless around Curry, and then no one else could really make a shot. So Mike Brown, great game plan. A little revenge factor, too, for the Warriors beating the Kings last year in a 7-game series. And then on the flip side, I do think that the Warriors need major reconstructive surgery if you're going to get the most out of Steph Curry's prime.
Well, I would not get too excited about the Kings. It was at home, and Clay went 0 for 10. The Warriors I don't think they will ever win if Clay goes 0 for 10.
That's a good point.
I mean, is it possible? I can't think of a scenario where they come out of that. And I don't even know what happened. I mean, can we circle back? How does Klay Thompson, one of the great shooters of all time, go 0 for 10 in a must-win game?
Yeah, 0 for 6 from 3, 0 for 10. And listen, the game plan was Curry. The game plan wasn't, shut down Klay Thompson. The game plan was try to get to Curry.
Yeah, they were all over Curry. They were definitely doing a Caitlin Clark defense on Curry. I was really shocked at how small Klay came up, which maybe is for the best because I know you want them to rip that Band-Aid and move on and start a new era, at least without Klay. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a disrespect to Klay. I'm just saying if you are trying to maximize the end of Curry, how do you do this? And that's trying to take advantage of another star who wants to come play with Curry. I'm not seeing a lot of bands here from Phoenix.
No, I saw. Did you see Stevie Nicks hails from Phoenix?
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
But I don't even know if that's true. I have to fact check that.
We indeed found an artist born in Phoenix, so we'll be good.
Well, if it's Stevie Nicks, then I'd love to hear a little.
It's definitely not Stevie Nicks.
Okay.
But
someone else?
yeah.
Get to that next. Also,
Ooh.
we're talking about the Lakers and how much of a shot do they have against Denver after beating the Pelicans last night. They're into the playoffs. LeBron James, 41 minutes in a win. We get to all things LA next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is Maggie and Perloff.
The Lakers are going to escape in New Orleans. It was much closer than we think it needed to be. Here's McCollum into the front court. Three-pointer, no good, and the game is over. Lakers win it 110-106.
And it was tight down the stretch. The Lakers pull away after Zion Williamson has to leave the game for New Orleans with a hamstring injury. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Lakers were up big. New Orleans came back and closed the gap, an 18-point deficit that they erased, but then Zion leaves the game, and all the momentum went back to the Lakers. They hit some key free throws down the stretch. Anthony Davis was big. LeBron was big. D'Angelo Russell was big, and now they win a date with the Denver Nuggets.
You know, there was a play at the end of the game that sort of summarized to me why the Lakers are good right now. I think the second half of the season, they've been one of the better teams in the NBA. There was an offensive rebound, and Anthony Davis just sort of, I don't even know how he did it. Just reached out one hand over Larry Nance Jr., grabbed the ball, and they had to foul him. When Anthony Davis plays like this, they are a legit team. I mean, I know LeBron, forget the age, you're right. He's been completely steady and solid. But to me, the secret sauce with this Lakers team and why they're interesting is Anthony Davis. It's really been, I know he's played more games this year than he has any other time with the Lakers. It's really been a season for him. I think he makes them a real contender. And I understand, listen, Denver's coming. That's going to be really hard. But I think if you get a full Anthony Davis experience, this is one of the better teams in the NBA.
Okay, I'll agree with you on that, but I think it's a little bit of fool's gold of what we saw last night and then how they're going to match up against Denver. The Lakers match up really well against New Orleans. Last night, the game was close. All the other times they've played New Orleans, the games have not been close at all. They've been blowouts, 40-point wins, 20-point wins, all of that. Now you're going to get to a Nuggets team that I don't think they'll have a lot of respect for the Lakers, but I don't know if there's going to be a fear at all. And,
well, I mean, they're heavy favorites. Of course, there's not going to be a fear.
But, you know, and there's a thought that, well, like the Lakers can just play loose here because no one's really expecting them to win. But I don't know if that's really a possibility here for the Lakers because there's always expectations on LeBron. I'm not saying he's going to get tight or they're going to get tight, but you can't really ever, even if you're an underdog, when you have LeBron and Anthony Davis, as you said, and you have expectations, it's not like you can just go out like, hey, we've got nothing to lose. You know, we might as well play what to the wall, and we'll see what happens. There's still going to be pressure on the Lakers here because there's always pressure on the Lakers with LeBron James.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, what are they supposed to do? They have to go out and play them. I don't think pressure is the problem. I think actual matchups are the problem here.
Well, that too.
How do you deal with Denver's size up front? And Anthony Davis is great. He could dominate everybody in the NBA except one dude.
Yeah, Jokic.
Yeah. So that's a big problem. I think the Lakers, though, at least this is the best position you can hope for with this team. You know, they finished the season 13-3 with 2 losses where Davis and LeBron weren't even out there. They're doing everything they can. I think they're maximizing the talent of this team. And honestly, like there's nothing, honestly, I don't look at the team and say, well, they should be doing this differently or that differently. This is the best version of this group, which is, I think, admirable. I think Darvin Ham took some time to figure out what's going on, but now he's got the right lineups out there. He's getting the most out of D'Angelo Russell, as you mentioned. He's getting the most out of Anthony Davis. Definitely getting the most out of LeBron right now. So I like the fact that the Lakers, I feel like, are going out swinging if they're going out. There is nothing disappointing at all about this team to me.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's tough to say because, you know, they're fighting for their playoff lives just in the play-in. Is that somewhat disappointing in itself, considering you did get all those games from Anthony Davis, considering you did have great health from LeBron James, and you farted around early in the season with those lineups, and, you know, there was a thought that maybe Darvin Ham was even on the hot seat, and then they did figure it out. You're telling me, all right, the Lakers lost to the Nuggets and were swept by them last year in the Western Conference Finals. So what does that mean this year? You win a game? You win 2? I mean, what are you giving out? Like participation trophies here? I know the Nuggets are the best. I still think that it would be disappointing if the Lakers lose, though, because it's always going to be disappointing when a healthy LeBron James and a healthy Anthony Davis lose, whether it's against the defending champs or not. And I don't think this one's going to be particularly close. Sure, all the games might be close, but I don't think that the Lakers, if they win more than one game, I'd be shocked. And let's not forget, Denver is the true home court advantage here.
Yeah.
You're going to ask LeBron James to play 41 minutes in high altitude. It's always an adjustment.
So why are you going to be disappointed if they lose?
Because it's LeBron and Anthony Davis and they're healthy and they're, as you said, they feel like a contender. So if they lose in the first round, I can't just pat them on the head and say, well, good job, good effort.
Well, I'll be honest, though. I think this idea that if they had gotten to the conference finals and gotten swept by the Nuggets, that's any better than losing here. They're going to have to face the Nuggets at some point. Take the East, for example, and I'm going to take a shot at the Knicks because I love doing that. The Knicks are probably going to make the conference finals and get killed by the Celtics. The reality is that
the Knicks play the Celtics really tough, but
God,
they do. They do.
I mean, they do.
Oh,
they play them very tough. But no. Make your point because
my
let's
point
stick
is
on the
the Knicks
Western
have
Conference.
this ridiculously easy because Giannis and the Bucks are a mess. The Knicks have an easy path to the conference finals. The Lakers could have, their path could have been different. They could have gotten Minnesota in the first round, and they could have maybe gotten, Oklahoma State in the second round, an easy path to the conference finals, and then gotten swept by the Nuggets. You might as well get swept now. It's the same result. I think people are going to be like, oh, they made the conference finals. This is a big deal. The reality is everyone in the West has to deal with the Nuggets. So do it now or do it later. To me, it's not disappointing if they go out in the first round because it's not a normal going out in the first round.
I get what you're saying, but I think where you and I disagree is it okay for the Lakers to get swept? Is it okay for them to lose in a gentleman's sweep and everyone's just going to be okay with that? As you said yesterday, this is their best shot, the Lakers, right now. This is the best version of this team since the trade deadline last year. And they made some tweaks this offseason, Gabe Vincent, whatever. But this is the best version of what they've been doing. And if you get swept or gentleman's sweep to the Denver Nuggets, that means your best is not even close to being good enough. So what does that mean? That means if I'm LeBron James, I don't know what the future holds for me. And I don't know if I'm sticking around in LA. And I don't know if I'm looking for greener pastures. Because if I've got no shot against the Denver Nuggets, then what am I doing? That doesn't get me any closer to a title.
What are your options here? You're 40. Where are you going to go win this title?
Well, he could join Golden State. He could join Denver. There's going to be teams that want him if he wants to leave.
That's why LeBron will never be Michael Jordan. And that's why your whole generation of LeBron fans, like the fact that he can't win here. Let's go join a better team and see.
By the time Jordan was 39, he was out of the league for good. At that point, LeBron is almost 40 and he's still playing at a super high level.
Well, Jordan didn't go let me sign a free agent contract with the San Antonio Spurs and Tim Duncan and David Robinson because I think I can sort of steal another title. So you're saying...
He went to the Wizards. What are you talking about?
I know. He went to the Wizards. The exact opposite of what you're suggesting for LeBron James. You're saying, well, he can't win. This is the best version of the Lakers, so maybe he should go join the Mavericks or the Warriors.
No.
Try and steal one that way. Honestly, Michael Jordan did the exact opposite. Went to the crappiest team in the league.
No, but I just want to make for the record, this is Perloff bringing up Michael Jordan in a LeBron James discussion. Just mark that down somewhere because I'm always the one who gets accused of doing it. And secondly, you act like Jordan never wanted to attempt to try to add to his ring total in a different kind of way.
Well, if he thought he was going to add to his ring title in Washington, then that was a mistake.
Well, if he didn't pick Kwame Brown, then maybe they would have. I mean, he didn't come back for just to roll the balls out and dribble around a little bit. He came back to play with Jerry Stackhouse and to play on a team that had the number 1 overall pick, and he picked wrong. So listen, I can't ding LeBron for that. This is already this is goes back to 2010. The moment he left Cleveland the first time, there were going to be people who were never going to forgive him because Jordan played his entire, except until the Wizards, did all of his winning with one team.
Well, I think getting back to the point, I will not be disappointed if they lose in 5 games to the Nuggets. I think this team is fun to watch, and I maybe that's lame that I'm not going to hold LeBron to this standard where he has to win a title or it's a disappointment. But I think it speaks to the Nuggets' dominance. It's just a fact. They're a really well-built team. And the Lakers are running to that, and they might as well face them right now and give them their best shot. I'm not going to say, oh, man, LeBron and AD wasted anything. I doubt I'm going to say that. Well, unless it gets to Game 7 and they blow it. But generally, I'm not going to say, wow, what a disappointment. The Lakers should have done more this year. But that's not how I'm going to view this team.
Okay, well, then you probably don't think LeBron will ever win another title. Then why even be out there? To sit around and play with Bronny? Okay, maybe that's one reason. That doesn't really do much for
There's
the rest of
29
us.
other teams that aren't going to win a title too. Why is Luka going out there? I'm telling you right now, they're not going to win the title. Maybe they will actually, but generally,
Luka's fighting for his first. He's in a totally different spot.
But there are a lot of guys who are not going to win a title who know you got to play it out, see what happens, right? I think that you're holding LeBron to a standard that was fair 5 years ago. Now you can't say, well, no reason to be out there if you're not going to win a title.
Well, I think that's his standard. I think that's just where you get to when you are this great of a player and when you're being judged by championships. I mean, I think LeBron should be judged by other things, but that doesn't hold up for the Jordan people. So if it's all about the titles and it's all about the championships, why wouldn't he try to everything he can to try to win? I mean, playing the game is great, but I'm sure that the titles are the thing.
So functionally, what does that mean at 40? So go join, just tag on to the best team possible?
Okay, so here's the thing about like the tagging on part of it. I know that it's obviously going to look that way, and it has looked that way through other parts of LeBron's career. But when you're still one of the best players on the team, are you really tagging on? This isn't Chris Paul with the Warriors this year, hoping to win his first one by coming off the bench. You'd be tagging, you'd be going to another team, but you'd be a major factor in that team. So to me, this isn't, the Karl Malone, Gary Payton thing at the end trying to go to the Lakers, even though they were starting. I get that.
That sounds exactly like the Karl Malone, Gary. What's different?
Well, they were looking for their first, which is a little bit different. And also, I think that LeBron would play a bigger role than what Gary Payton and Karl Malone were doing, playing alongside Kobe and Shaq.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
LeBron would have to be a bigger factor.
But if LeBron is a bigger factor, then that team probably, say Golden State. I mean, I don't think Golden State gets LeBron. That's not anyone's favorite, is it? Steph Curry and LeBron?
No. I mean,
that is an old team, and just imagine them going through an 82-game season without a lot of help seems like he's got to go to Dallas. He's got to get Luka and Kyrie, right? He can't go to Golden State. You're talking about getting another ring.
Yeah, but if he
I
goes,
think this Lakers team is better than the Golden State team.
But you're right, might be right about that. But if he goes to the Lakers, you don't have to give up any assets, capital a little bit, but you don't have to give up assets to get him. It's not like you're trading the farm to get LeBron James. You're basically just adding him.
Well, let's keep it to this year, though. I think this is an interesting debate. Will it be disappointing if the Lakers don't win against the Nuggets? And I think I'm more realistic. I think you're having trouble accepting the fact that LeBron is old. Like, the expectation has to have lowered. You can't. He's going to be 40. You got to lower the expectation and be happy with what you got.
I don't know. I think you have this team. You've got great health. Knock on wood. You
never say that about a superstar. Like, he's got great health. That's what you say about your 73-year-old aunt in Boca Raton, Florida.
I was actually thinking about Anthony Davis.
Yeah, he's like, she still has her
she
facilities.
Can drive.
Yeah. I don't think when you're looking at potential NBA champions, like, he hasn't lost his memory yet. I mean, what are we talking about here?
Well, I mean, health is important when you get to these older teams, because last night in Sacramento, I watched a Warriors team that for the first time had Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond all together and all healthy and missed the playoffs for the first time ever with that core. So you got to talk about health when you talk about older teams.
No. But it does sound funny. Like, the expression he has is health.
I know. Well, he's got his health.
I mean, that's what we're talking about. He's not a young man.
You shouldn't complain. You've got your health. Yeah, it does sound like we're sitting around in a deli somewhere.
That guy's played so many basketball games. I'm sure that he's limping around like an old man right now.
A little gray in the hair, huh? Kevin is in Oregon. Wants to talk about the Lakers-Pelicans game from last night. Hi, Kevin. How are you?
Good morning. How are you today?
We're good. What's up?
Well, listen, Zion was abusing Anthony Davis and LeBron James in the paint last night. He shot 62%, had 11 rebounds, and Anthony Davis shot 6 for 16, and James shot 6 for 20. I mean, they are vulnerable up front, and I think Denver is just going to wipe them off the map. I agree with you, Maggie. If they win one game, I'll be surprised.
Yeah, I don't see this going a lot differently, Kevin, than it did a year ago. And thank you for the phone call. And will it be disappointing? Yeah, because this is the best shot that LeBron and AD have, and it's going to result in
They already
sweep.
won a title, by the way. I know it was a bubble title, but you can't say it's the best shot they have.
We'll talk about the bubble title another time, but
still, that's
I'm not a fan.
funny expression to say that's the best shot that AD and LeBron are going to have when they did technically win a ring.
Got that. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. I did it. Darn it. It's the Infinity Sports Network, and we're proud to be a part of it. 855-212-4227. If you want to watch the show, I think we look great this morning. You should check us out. YouTube.com/InfinitySportsNet, Twitch.tv/InfinitySportsNetwork. That's how you can watch the show. The chat is up and running. They are loving it. Perloff is head to toe right now. 76ers.
This is the only time I can be optimistic about my Sixers. I think it's not going to go well tonight. It's not going to go well if they get to the next round. But
generally doesn't go well when you play the Heat.
It generally doesn't go well when the Sixers get into the postseason.
Fair.
But I got to tell you, I am so excited right now. I'm so excited to come back to the show after the break. Because Carlos has always come up with a brilliant musical theme, and I'm dying to know what comes next. Carlos, every Western Conference team in the playoffs gets a musician that is going to be played on our show, right?
That is correct.
Okay, a musician from the city of a Western Conference playoff team will be responsible for the rejoin. Can you give us the city next?
Yeah, and we can guess.
Minnesota.
See, I think
Perloff already
because
said.
I said Prince, I think
And
you're going to go
I refuse
into
to play Prince now.
What's that?
I refuse to play Prince now.
You realize that means the joke's on all of us because we don't get to hear Prince.
So
blame Perloff.
The Replacements, obviously from Minnesota. What's that band? Oh, they were in 2000s. Or no, it was like the late 90s. They were such a big band. They're kind of like the Gin Blossoms, and they're kind of like the Spin Doctors.
From Minnesota?
They're from Minnesota.
I feel like Rusted Roots from Pittsburgh.
I'll remember it. They okay. Is this not a late 90s indie rock band?
I don't even know what the song is going to be. I will find out in the next couple minutes.
Oh, wow. Carlos, look at this seat of his pants. 855-212-4227.
When I say this band, you're going to be like, remember the Gin Blossoms? And there was about 5 bands that were exactly like that?
Yes.
It's one of those bands.
Great. That
Counting
narrows
Crows,
it down. Counting Crows are
Black
from
Crows.
the Bay Area.
Yeah, but it was right in that Gin Blossoms, Hey Jealousy kind of thing.
All right.
Yeah, and by the way, we're going to be playing Spin Doctors at some point soon, right?
Well,
because of our
if Doc Rivers is talking, then the Spin Doctor is in.
He hasn't talked yet, but I'm sure we'll be hearing him soon.
Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, you're welcome to weigh in on the Lakers. You're giving them any shot against the Denver Nuggets, and would it be disappointing if they go out in a sweep?
Oh, Soul Asylum. That's the band.
Soul Asylum?
You guys don't remember Soul Asylum?
I do remember Soul Asylum. I don't remember any other songs.
Carlos has no idea.
I actually do know who they are. I'm still not playing them.
There you go. Listen, this is Carlos's show. This is his music. We'll be back in a moment. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Wait, we're doing 90s indie rock. That's the Spin Doctors, right?
I was told to play this.
Okay,
We've got some Doc Rivers
and explain
sound.
why, Maggie.
Well, Doc Rivers, the ultimate spin doctor, so we got to give him the treatment. Doc talking about Giannis's injury. Here we go.
He's doing well. I mean, he's walking around and looks good. He's, I can say, farther than we thought he would be, but just not ready yet.
Walking around. Great. That's going to need a little more than walking around to play against the Indiana Pacers, a team that beat you 4 out of 5 times this season.
And you're playing terribly with Giannis, too. This Doc Rivers experiment has been a disaster in Milwaukee.
Yep.
And honestly, I'm sorry, it's his fault. He should have stayed in the TV booth. What a mess this year is.
Yeah, this was a mess. I mean, Dame obviously had his real ups and downs. This was a tougher adjustment, I think, than anyone was expecting. He really wanted to go to Miami. They didn't honor that. The Trailblazers couldn't do that or didn't do that. And he instead goes to Milwaukee, which he thought was not a bad consolation prize, but it just hasn't been awesome. Now, listen, there's still a chance here for Dame to rewrite how this season has gone. I mean, he's a great postseason player, so this is an opportunity for him.
That doesn't feel like it to me. I'd be very surprised if they advance. Maybe they win the first round. Even that, if Giannis isn't out there, they're not doing anything.
So to add on to this, it could be more than just a matchup against the Pacers that hangs in the balance. Brian Windhorst, insider for ESPN, was talking yesterday about what could be on the table if Milwaukee has a quick exit.
If they lose in the first round, the first person you're worried about isn't Dame. It's Giannis. You want to make sure Giannis is still committed. And also, when you talk about this first round, you got to worry about where Giannis's calf is, if he's going to be 100%. But if they go down in the first round again, they have that disappointment back-to-back years, I'm not sure where Giannis is going to be.
Yeah, the Giannis extension that was signed in 2023. You thought, okay, this kind of guarantees he's going to be in Milwaukee for a while, but I don't know if anyone really believed it because, Giannis gets a little passive-aggressive like a lot of sports superstars in the NBA, but he's not immune to it. He gets like this.
I mean, isn't this a normal pattern? It reminds me a lot of KD in Oklahoma City. Right around 10 years or so, you just realize another title's not coming my way, and you get anxious. Usually you move to LA or some glamour team like that. So it would not surprise me at all if he got out of there. And also, too, I wouldn't kill him for that because there's such a long history of NBA stars controlling their own destiny. I think we think Giannis is this nice guy that he would be above that. But you're right. Why would he be above that?
No, I think Giannis definitely has some diva qualities. I mean, he might be a nice guy, but that doesn't mean he doesn't fall into the same type of behavior that other superstars do. It was a 3-year extension worth $186 million. But then Dame comes and you're like, all right, we're trying to. It does seem like the team is trying to do everything they can for Giannis.
Definitely.
I mean, who's going to have more power in that organization than him? I think he definitely had to sign off on Adrian Griffin. I think he had to sign off on Adrian Griffin getting fired. And I think he had to sign off on Doc Rivers becoming the head coach. Guys, we've seen the NBA. And we know how this works. The stars have so much power. Giannis is the franchise.
But at what point does he take some of the blame then?
He should.
If he wants to tuck his tail and run, that would, I think, make him look really weak. Because, like you're saying, he wanted Dame Lillard. Dame Lillard and him had been friendly for a long time. He pushed him to make that trade or else, which is what he said to the New York Times.
Yep.
And then you mentioned the Griffin firing, and we could argue about whether or not he was a good hire or not, but firing him when they were 30-13 doesn't sound great when they're a 500 team with Doc Rivers, who we also apparently signed off on. If he leaves, he looks awful to me.
Well, the other part, too, remember, he's out of the huddle. He's pouting, stuff like that before Griffin got fired. And then the other part, too, is, I guess if you could say if you're KD, right? KD was in Oklahoma City, and they got to a finals, but they lost to the Heatles, and he may have not thought, I can't win, right? LeBron James leaving Cleveland the first time. I got to a finals. I got swept by San Antonio. I can't win here. Giannis did win in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
You've proven you can win in this city. I think it's less forgivable for Giannis because it's not like he's chasing that first ring. He got it. He proved you can do that in Milwaukee.
I understand what you guys are saying about it looking bad, and I agree it doesn't look perfect, but I think when we look back at players' careers, all the power moves that the great players did, we forget. I mean, Magic got coaches fired. Sure. Michael Jordan got Doug Collins fired. This is what superstars do.
Yeah, but no one will let KD live down going to Golden State, including Charles Barkley and others.
That's because he went to Golden State. If he'd gone to another city, we would not have cared.
If he went to the Lakers, you think it's any better?
If he'd gone to a team where he was, they hadn't just come off a 73-win season, I think that's different, obviously. And I honestly, KD probably gets it worse than anyone. I think LeBron going with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh.
Yeah, that was the original.
If Giannis goes to a team, say Giannis goes to Denver, we're going to kill him for the same reason. But if he goes to a team like the Clippers or Lakers who have some players but are not totally dominant, we're not going to pull the KD bus rider thing on him.
Well, again, because he's already won a title. And I think that's the reason to stay. And I know Kareem won a title and then left. I get it. That was also the 70s. Let's go to Chris, who's in Oregon, wants to weigh in on what we saw out of Steph Curry last night. Warriors lose to the Kings. Their season is over, and maybe the dynasty's over. Hey, Chris, how are you?
Hey, good, thanks. Yeah, you guys talked about Steph Curry's leadership yesterday, and I think that was on full display in the game. Anything bad happened, he just wanders off by himself.
Yep.
No talking to his team, no coaching people up. You see LeBron James, something goes critically wrong. He's in people's faces. He's talking to people. Steph Curry just looks like a guy who doesn't know how to lead. And just staying on topic on a couple other things really quick, I think if the Lakers lose, I understand context matters if they're going to lose, but I understand context matters. It's still going to be disappointing. There's no way people are going to look back on that and say, a LeBron James and Anthony Davis team exiting the first round, who can blame them?
Yeah, right.
It's going to look bad.
They're losing to the Nuggets.
Yeah, but you have two Hall of Famers on your team.
But I think this is so crazy. Chris, if they had lost to the conference final, the Nuggets, would that be disappointing? So you're saying just because they lose to them in the first round and not the conference finals, it's more disappointing?
I understand context matters. I get it. But when you're 2 years out from this and people look back, they're not going to remember that. They're going to look at LeBron James and Anthony Davis exited in the first round. And on top of that, that fan base in L.A., they're not going to care. They're just not going to care. It's going to be disappointing.
Yeah. Chris, thank you. I want to talk about the Lakers side of what Chris said, but also about the Steph Curry side, because we were talking yesterday, and Chris brought it up, about the standard that LeBron James is held to in terms of leadership and, accountability or what have you, and how Steph Curry is not held to any of that, yet these are the two players of this generation, and LeBron gets so treated, his everything really about him gets treated differently than Curry.
So I wanted to get into what are you talking about, Steph Curry? The guy has 4 titles, had the most regular season wins of all time, and 2 MVPs. Obviously, whatever he's doing is working. You're saying all of a sudden the 36-year-old Steph Curry can't lead? Like, the guy's had an amazing career.
No,
he's obviously doing something right, and the Warriors have won 1 million games with him.
Yeah.
So how did that happen if he can't lead?
Well, but the question is, when it becomes crunch time, when not everything is going perfectly for you, when you don't have anyone around you in their prime, when Klay Thompson can't hit the beach, the ocean from the beach, what do you do then? And
there's nothing you can do. LeBron is not going to leadership into Klay Thompson to hitting those shots.
No, he's not, but you know what Chris is talking about. Like, sometimes the body language from Curry is not awesome.
Yeah, but I don't think it matters. I think the Warriors are just built differently and designed differently. I think Curry leads in his own way that is totally different. He's, again, not an in-your-face leader. He's not like Kobe or LeBron, and that's more Kobe.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's obviously whatever he's done has worked for 14 years.
Yeah,
so how can you say now he's not a good leader?
No, but it's like when Curry's hitting those shots and he's doing night-night and he's doing all that stuff, then it's great and everything's awesome. But when the chips are down like it was last night and you're facing the end of your season, they went out very meekly for somebody who's going to be a top 10 player of all time. They went very quietly into the night.
Yeah, because the team around him failed him. I mean, and there's no leadership.
He didn't play well.
Curry was fine. I mean, he hit some pretty wild shots, too. That little layup over his head.
I guess.
I don't think that Curry is the problem here. I don't think any leadership. I think you could take the greatest leaders on earth, and there's nothing that was going to save that Warriors team last night. When Klay's 0 for 10, they're not winning.
And yet you want to run this back. Like, this is why I think the Warriors need a major facelift, because, again, like, you just saw how they even played well down the stretch and really changed the fortunes of the season, and they couldn't do anything in that game.
Other option, I do want to run it back in the sense that I want to put a roster out on day one of the NBA season. That's your only. There's no other option. There's no not running back. Right? You mean just like get rid of Curry and just go with 12, 22-year-olds and start all over again?
No, Curry is the standard. I mean, Curry, this will be his decision if he ever wanted to leave. If he sees that this is a dead end with the Warriors or they can't compete in the Western Conference, that will always be Curry's decision, not the team. But as far as trying to shapeshift around in a way that we know and seen happen in the NBA time after time, why would I take that off the table? I just watched the Phoenix Suns, who it was like impossible. There's no way they're going to be able to get Durant and Beal, and I watched them do it. Now, I don't know if they're going to win a title, but I know they're in the playoffs and not even to mess around with the play-in.
Well, I'll tell you right now, they got Durant because he's washed. They got Beal because nobody wanted to pay that crazy salary. Those are distressed assets, and that's what the Warriors are going to have to do. They're going to have to find the right distressed assets. There's no way they're getting peak players who are going to all of a sudden come around. They're not going to get a 27-year-old superstar to add to Steph Curry. This is impossible. Jason Tatum is not coming to Golden State.
Obviously not Jason Tatum.
So I just think that, you can sort of nip around the edges with over-the-hill superstars, but there's no way you're going to rebuild the dynasty here. This is not happening. I mean, Maggie, do I have to pull out the financials for you right now? We have to look at the books here and talk about that Andrew Wiggins 3-year, $90 million deal. The money's been paid.
No.
They already picked Wiseman. The mistakes have been made. It's called sunk costs.
No.
You can't all of a sudden... You could say, it sounds great for Golden State. I think they should add a gigantic superstar and rebuild. It's not realistic.
I've watched NBA teams pull crazy rabbits out of their hats. I refuse to believe in this sport.
You just cited the Suns.
I did, and they're in the playoffs.
They won 2 more games than the Warriors. They have been a gigantic disappointment.
Well, let's see what happens in the postseason.
Does anyone think the Suns are going? I have not heard one expert pick the Suns to do anything.
Well, what do the experts know? Bogusch is here. He's got headlines for us. Hello.
Hello again. So, Maggie, EJ, not Pete. Imagine if Perloff won the Wemby Rookie of the Year vote on this kind of technicality. Knicks legend Dante DiVincenzo appeared in 81 games this season, well above the 65-game threshold for awards consideration. except you have to play 20-plus minutes in a game for it to count towards that 65. And DiVincenzo only played 20-plus minutes 62 times, so people can vote for him for MVP. I mean, most improved player. Most voters don't think he should have won the award. They just wanted to put him in their top 5, but couldn't, which led to confused tweets yesterday, which led to the NBA clarifying this 65-game minimum.
Okay, how much did EJ pay you to put this in an update?
Friendship.
Wait.
Wow.
The full disclosure, I did not tell Bogusch to put this in this update.
You actually did.
I do not believe it.
I did threaten him on Twitter yesterday.
I do not. I'm just looking down. I'm like, he's supposed to be talking about Travis Kelce hosting a game show right now. Not that. And we are getting that Donte DiVincenzo, poor Donte, couldn't get third place votes for most improved player. He's not even going to win the damn thing.
The New York Knicks.
Yeah.
Can I just say
that was my favorite part, by the way.
Yeah.
Now that he couldn't win it, he couldn't finish third in the voting.
I'm sorry. I have no tears are going to be shed for Donte DiVincenzo.
What kind of idiot put together these? Who sat in a boardroom and said we should have these specific rules for most improved player? That is the most overmanaged thing I've ever heard in my life.
Well, this is the problem is that guys, well, maybe not most improved, but they had to revamp all these rules around postseason awards because no one was playing any games.
Well, they should have just done for All NBA and MVP. Those are the only awards that really matter when it comes to guys saying, well, you shouldn't be skipping out games and becoming an All NBA player or an MVP. A most improved player, who cares if they play 64 games? That doesn't matter.
They gave it to John Morant one year. That was so stupid.
He also played 2,400 minutes, so they weren't distributed correctly through enough games. Like, he played...
Donte DiVincenzo has not sat on the bench since Julius Randle got hurt. I mean, he plays Tom Thibodeau's been running him into the ground for 2 months because the Knicks have had so many injuries.
The old Thibodeau special.
I am with Kaplan on this one. He's in the chat, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet on YouTube, twitch.tv/InfinitySportsNetwork. The awards shouldn't exist.
What?
Wow.
No, come on.
Most
on
improved?
the top rope.
Also, get this out of the update, says Cap.
Well, because he's a Celtic fan.
Cosign.
Wait, why should the award not exist? So how about in the NFL, too? I love the NFL comeback player.
Yeah, Joe Flacco came back from the couch
awesome.
and didn't give it to DeMar Hamlin. This is why it's
unintended consequences.
No, I said John Morant first was most improved. It's so there's no stipulation. No one's figured out what the criteria is. This is like the clutch award that they give out. What the hell does that even mean?
I mean, but all the awards are subjective. I like that you give an award to a guy who, now the job one was weird, but typically they don't give it to superstars. Typically it's a guy who was a role player or maybe even a bust that turns into a really good to maybe even great player. Those guys should be rewarded. Why do we want to take that away?
The
EJ, let me
reward
ask a
is
question.
the money. Yeah.
Who's your favorite Jets quarterback of all time?
Chad Pennington.
How many times did he win it?
Oh,
Twice?
At least twice.
Twice. He won
How do you
comeback in 06 and 08, which is one of the most amazing feats of all time. So he came back, left, came back. He's the ultimate comeback player.
Yeah. He's like one of those bands that never stops touring. It's like, no, this is the farewell tour. Wait. Nope, now this is the farewell. How many Elton John farewell tours have there been? All right, Yellow Brick Road.
Yeah, it really should be named the Chad Pennington Comeback Player of the Year award.
You've switched leagues and awards. This is the NBA Most Improved Player.
It's close enough, though.
Yeah.
It's in the arena.
It's coming
The
back from
NFL
sucking.
doesn't have most improved.
What's it? Isn't that their version of the comeback player? Not a gigantic
not
difference.
necessarily.
No, it's just literally who got better this year than
It's
the
like
past.
who was on the bench and is not on the
you're
bench
right.
anymore.
You're right.
Do they have comeback player of the year in the NBA? I don't think they do.
They don't. I don't think they have that award.
Just because they have most improved player, it's almost the same thing. It's not like defensive player of the year and most improved. It's very similar in theme, Bogusch. I think you're just trying to get me on this one. That's almost the same thing.
I disagree. Comeback involves you coming back from something that you can't control, like DeMar Hamlin or Joe Flacco not finding a job. It's not you improving your jump shot.
I know. Poor Joe Flacco,
Geno Smith was comeback player of the year. What did he come back from? Sucking. In the NBA, he would have been the most improved player.
Being irrelevant. There has to be more in the update. I'm
Yes,
seeing here
important
Travis
things.
Kelce hosting a game show.
All right, fine. Jesus, Maggie, I'll get to that.
So excited about Travis Kelce.
I mean, really.
So there's a rundown here.
I haven't watched a game show in 15 years, so I'm
here's
excited
one
to hear this.
for you. Taylor's boyfriend will host Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity on Amazon Prime. We're getting
answer's yes.
20 episodes of this Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader spinoff. at a date to be determined. Celebrities will help us civilians answer grade school level questions for money. You happy now, Maggie?
I am extremely happy because I'm very curious to see whether Taylor shows up on this game show.
No.
I
think so. She was wearing a New Heights podcast hat at Coachella or whatever. I saw the photos. Like, is he at some point, if Taylor Swift ends up on this game show, is he like bringing her down a little bit? She would have never done this if she was not dating him.
Done what? Gone to Coachella?
No, gone on a game show.
Right, she's not going on a game show.
I think she's going to, I think you do a lot of things for love. And I think
she's going to show up on the last episode of season 1. If this is like a seasonal game show thing, she will show up on the very last one.
She hasn't been on the podcast yet, right?
No.
But she was on Selena and Chef. She showed up and said hi.
But that's her best friend, isn't it?
She's very close to Selena, yes, but she didn't show up in person. It was a FaceTime.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, Taylor, say hi to this chef's daughter. And of course, the little girl went crazy.
Yeah.
I think something like that is definitely going to happen on the show.
I think so too.
Like if they have a lifeline kind of thing. Who wants to be a millionaire?
Phone a bigger celebrity who couldn't have the time to actually get to the studio.
Right before a Tokyo show, she'd be like, hey, I can answer this question for you guys.
Yeah, it's like, actually, the capital is Bismarck.
Also, I mean, is anyone else? I was extremely disappointed that this is not Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Because when they talked about this show,
I think he curses a lot for fifth graders, don't you think?
That's what I said on the production call yesterday. I was like, he's not really this. That's a family show. He really shouldn't be doing this. And Maggie's like, well, it's not that show.
I mean, have you heard fifth graders in a video game lobby now? Like, he might not curse enough.
I mean, that's true. But like the original show was good.
He's a softie.
Why did they change? Why did they change the dynamic? Who cares if you're like Carl said? We all know that most of us are smarter than celebrities. Who cares? The fifth grader is the one that's more interesting.
Do you guys have never seen like Celebrity Family Feud? It's still funny. It's a good product. Celebrity Jeopardy. No one's watching that. Our guy Peter Schrager.
Yeah, I watched it.
Taking out Debbie. What was her name? What was it? Didn't Schrager took out Debbie Gibson? No. He answered a question with Debbie Gibson was the answer. I forgot about that.
I mean, I feel like Family Feud is good because it's maybe the GOAT game show. So that's a whole nother conversation. I think with celebrities, I think you could put anybody that you could put animals in Family Feud and it'd be good. I feel like Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? I feel like Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
Try to do that.
We're gonna need an answer, dog.
We're gonna need a whole Cat Williams second special on Shannon.
Lita would be awesome. Lita, my dog, not Lita the wrestler, would be awesome on Family Feud. She'd find a way to make it work.
Show me woof woof meow.
Wait, is Family Feud still on?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Steve Harvey's still doing that?
I'm pretty sure he is.
Dare I say Steve Harvey might be the best Family Feud host.
Oh, definitely. But I kind of thought that felt like a long time ago. You sure he's still doing it, guys?
Yeah, God, yeah. That show's not going anywhere.
What time is it on?
Every day, every hour. You can
Steve
find
Harvey
it.
is still currently, since 2010, still the Family Feud host.
I'm still in a real deep dive of how you think animals could be on Family Feud. Like the lack of talking seems to be a hurdle that no one's going to overcome.
I'll make it work.
How could Steve Harvey just like look over to the camera with like a confused look on his face when a horse just goes,
No one does it better.
What are you talking about? I mean, come on. He can do that to any. Just have the animal say something like an animal, and then have Steve Harvey do his sound bite, and then we're good.
He's got one move. He just turns to the left after a dumb answer, and it still works. I mean, it's amazing.
It's like Jordan going to the right. It's just it's every time. Switch.
It's just that slow pivot.
LeBron
Look into the camera
before he pulls up for the three.
I almost have to leave the room because I can't not think about how impossible this is. Okay, so he looks to the right after the horse doesn't do anything. And then the board, they just get 3 strikes over and over again? I don't know. How does this work?
100 people.
What if it's like a parakeet?
Right.
Okay.
There you go.
The parakeet is not your dog, Lena.
If you get
Lita,
10 parrots,
by the way, sir.
I'd actually be sign up for that.
My
Because
daughter
parrots can
actually
repeat whatever you say.
My 12-year-old pulled up a video of cats talking in English the other day. Have you guys ever seen this? Where it's cats making meow that sounds like a word? There you go, Bogusch.
See?
I'll play it for you later.
You said it could never happen.
Is it an answer to the question of the 100 favorite things your wife does for your birthday?
Yeah.
Meow is definitely number 1.
That's exactly what it sounds like. Hello is not on the board.
Want to steal it? Nope. 0 points for everybody. Great show, though.
Honestly, one of those animals, like, takes a dump on the stage. Steve Harvey looks at the camera, gold.
I'm going to watch Tracker on CBS instead.
Well, good luck because the killer's actually a goat. So,
in a forest fire.
Thank you, Bogusch. Coming up, we've got a major question about a game tonight. Plus, we're seeing you guys on the phones. You want to talk Warriors. You want to talk the future of Golden State. You want to talk about the Lakers. We're here for it. 855-212-4227. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining.
I just told y'all, look, at a wedding, you don't have food at the wedding. There's no food at the wedding.
Pasta.
How do I put this?
Preacher.
Like a preacher. Let's play the game. Name the worst thing that could happen at a wedding.
There is no pasta. The pasta is not there.
I just told y'all, look, at a wedding, you don't have food at the wedding. There's no food at the wedding.
Pasta.
How do I put this?
Preacher.
Like a preacher.
Oh, the preacher. Oh.
Yeah.
There is no pasta. Boy, Preacher. Okay, there is.
Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Carlos, the theme today, as he's on the board with us, in for Bellotti, songs from bands who came from cities representing Western Conference NBA teams. This is a deep cut for you, Carlos. But we all know this song.
Because
Semisonic's Closing Time was one of our one-hit wonders in the Maggie and Perloff March Madness one-hit wonder bracket. It didn't last very long, by the way. They got bounced in the first round.
This was a song that actually,
It did?
This song did well. This was a song that actually stuck around in my head the most of all the one-hit wonders.
But this is a crime. Minnesota is an unbelievable music town. They have that First Avenue venue where Prince and the Replacements came up, and you go with Semisonic, dude.
We also forgot that.
Well, you ruined Prince for me, and this is the most iconic Get Out of the Bar Club song right now.
You know, I actually was looking at it. You know who came out of Minnesota scene was Lizzo. She moved to Minnesota because they have such an incredible live music scene, and you went with Semisonic.
Well, we also had
I was not going with Lizzo.
Bob Dylan.
Well, he's from out. Does that count? He's from the country, right?
Yeah, so I guess it's not Minnesota. It's not Minneapolis.
I actually don't know
Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, does Minnesota get the whole state? I guess they do.
Come on, definitely. All right, Semisonic, as Carlos will continue playing hits from bands in cities that are now representing the Western Conference in the NBA playoffs.
What's next?
Got to follow it a little. But
What city's next, Carlos? Oh, you can figure it out.
Yeah, no, we'll figure it out.
let us go to Rich, who's in California and wants to talk about the Warriors. Hey, Rich, how are you?
Doing well. The fact of the matter is what happened to the Warriors is fairly predictable. The difference between the Warriors and the Lakers, it's not that much. I mean, Father Time is chasing them both and gaining on them rather quickly. The question is will Lacob continue paying the freight to keep this thing together? Because he's certainly not getting a whole lot of return for his dollar. In terms of the Lakers, I don't know that LeBron is going to be able to keep it going for that much longer. I mean, he is 40 years old, and Father Time, for lack of anything else better to call it, is pretty much undefeated.
No, Rich, I get it, but I also watched LeBron, play 41 minutes last night in a must-win game where once Zion went out of the game and they sort of got the momentum back, I mean, he was a major factor. He and Anthony Davis are as good as it gets. I agree with you about the Warriors. You're getting older here. Well, you actually have a combination between young and old, but are you going to make it worse? And right now the Warriors have a chance to part ways with Klay Thompson. And if they take that path, then you are opening up a roster spot for somebody who maybe is younger and can contribute more. If you decide to pay Klay because it's a Lifetime Achievement Award and it's a thank you for all your years in the dynasty, then you're going to have similar problems.
Actually, is that accurate, though? So Klay's a free agent. You're not opening up I think they're already at the peak. I think their cap is pretty full. I don't know. Getting rid of not paying Klay or paying Klay, they're not going to have room really to bring in a superstar. They're not getting DeMar DeRozan or anything.
No, but they are actually not at the top apron, I don't think. It's $177 million in luxury tax, and they have the highest payroll. I think there's a little bit more they can actually go, which is crazy.
I'm not sure
Second apron, I don't know what all that technical jargon.
I'm not sure that they're in a great position to add a lot via free agency. So here's the thing. You say, Lacob doesn't want to pay the bill. What choice? There's no choice. You just have to hope that these young guys really take the next step. And they are young. I mean, Kuminga and Moody who are both 21, can develop into stars. Then that's your best hope. The other hope is just give it all up and just go to 20 wins next year. Let Steph walk away. That's the other. There's no in between to me. There's no let's rebuild the dynasty. I don't know how you're going to do that.
I think that's a defeatist attitude because we've seen in the NBA that you can really move things around, move money around, get creative. And the Warriors are a team that claims to be light years ahead of everyone else. So to say the only paths are young guys or blow the whole thing up, I just don't think that's true.
The much more likely path, the way the NBA works, is somebody pays an older superstar and it fails. That happens 8 out of 10 times, the KD model. That's what's going to happen if they go old. There's nothing's going to help here.
Coming up, it is Wednesday, which means the great debate. What's on the docket today? Fun one. Stick around.
Off with an Odyssey Sports.
Top 10 moments from Andrew Perloff's Skyline Chili Bet Payoff. Number 10.
With the cheese, he is very delicately breaking the film.
Number 9.
There is juice cascading off his nose.
Good.
Number 8.
All the way in. Oh, we have spaghetti. He has found the pasta.
Number 7.
Another big bite. Oh, that's a lot of pasta.
You're really getting in there.
Number 6.
Why I didn't.
That's slurping sound.
Good slurping.
Number 5.
Oh.
Number 4.
Oh my God.
That was a full open mouth tongue scoop of pasta. This
Number
is
3.
friendship. Oh, it's like he's a 4-year-old.
Number 2.
A bowl of chili anymore. Oh, our first rip of pasta.
And the number 1 moment from Andrew Perloff's Skyline Chili Bet Payoff.
Noises as we gobble up. Oh, now it's over.
Top 10 moments.
You stole my heart, you intercepted it. Now you're gone, have to accept it. Did I meet your mom too soon? Or did I do what I always do? Yeah, we made it to the 50, and then you kissed me. We made it to the 40, a new love story.
Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Major crossroads here for the Golden State Warriors. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Golden State bows out last night to the Sacramento Kings. Perloff, their season is over, and there's a chance the dynasty could be over, and that is a decision to make about the future of Klay Thompson, a decision to make about really what do the Warriors want the rest of Steph Curry's prime to look like? Is it going to be counting on the young guys to take these massive steps forward, or do they really try to reshuffle the deck and give themselves a major facelift to maximize Curry in the end of his career?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds awesome. I just don't know how. I mean, give me a plan here. Give me somebody. Unfortunately, maximizing the rest of Curry's career means letting Curry go to Dallas or something. I don't even know what it means because I'm not sure that's possible. One thing I will say, they were done before. You know, after KD got hurt, they didn't make the playoffs 2 years in a row. Then they came back and won the title. So this is now a 2-year drought. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. It's a 1 year. Is this a 2-year drought?
2 years.
2-year drought. So they have they've basically been the wheels have been coming off for 5 years now. So they haven't really been this dominant team, but you never know with them. Because what if the young guys all of a sudden develop and then they can support Curry, and that's your sort of super team.
Okay, but here's the thing. When they reloaded to try to get back to another title and beat the Boston Celtics 2 seasons ago, what was one of the main things that they did? They were able to find an Andrew Wiggins who was that middle ground, not a super young guy, but had been the former number 1 overall pick and had, the career was just not going great, and he ended up being a major contributor to that championship team. You're saying there's no middle ground. Either you have to, just fingers crossed and hope and pray that all these young guys take a step forward and you are light years ahead of every other team, or you just sort of, blow it up and trade Steph Curry and you have to start from scratch again. I do think there's middle ground. I think I'm giving the Warriors some credit here. If they make a couple of the right moves, there is a way to keep going. Now, you want some names. There could be 3 big names that the Warriors might be interested in. We already know there was some interest in LeBron James at the trade deadline. Now, how real was it? How realistic was it? I don't know. But LeBron James has already been a name that's been floated.
Sounds like a pipe dream.
Paul George is going to be out there. Now, he's going to be expensive.
He's going to be max, isn't
he?
I mean,
we'll see. And then you also have whatever monitoring the situation in Milwaukee with what's going on with Giannis. So
that sounds like a hope and a prayer, another hope and a prayer, and a not even a hope and a prayer.
It's the NBA, so it's more than hope and a prayer. It's more of a hope to just to watch the young guys and say you guys can contribute to another Steph Curry title than it is to play this 3D chess to try to get another superstar.
Well, first of all, Andrew Wiggins is still there, ironically. You're like that tweak. So that guy's still there, and he was just filling the Harrison Barnes role. That is not a complete change of a team. And yeah, maybe they tweak here and there, but I just don't think this new superstars are coming in. Honestly, by the way, and I don't even rule out them re-signing Klay. Who knows? That would be
a mistake.
That would probably be a mistake unless you get him for cheap, because then why not? I don't think he'll be cheap unless the other team saw what he did last night, 0 for 10, and say, I'm not going to pay for that. But I love what you're saying. And of course, it makes sense to play this 3D chess. I just don't know if they have the moves in them this year. They thought they were doing it when they got young and they got all those draft picks and they drafted Wiseman and they got Moody in the same draft. They thought they were playing 3D chess, and it just didn't work out. They happened to be in a draft where there were no good players. I mean, what were they supposed to do in that draft? They took Wiseman because they needed a big guy. The other choice was LaMelo Ball, who wouldn't have really fit in with this team anyway. So I'm not sure that this chess move is out there. You give them a lot of credit to think that they can revamp this.
Well, the reason why I give them credit, we're talking about the Warriors whose season ended last night, unless they're going to be blinded by this loyalty. And that's what it would be. We've seen this happen to other franchises. You fall so much in love with your own players that you feel like you owe them lifetime contracts and continue to pay and pay and pay. And that's why I would not be paying Klay Thompson, because the rumor that was out there was like 2 years, $60 million, but he wants more years. Like at some point, it's just going to end. And, the reason why I give the Warriors some credit that they can make some moves is because I think playing with Steph Curry is very appealing. And superstars have an outsized amount of influence in this sport more than any other. And not only can you tell a team, I want you to trade me, you can say, I want you to trade me here. And it might not have worked for Dame Lillard, who wanted to go to Miami and end up in Milwaukee, but it certainly as hell worked for Kevin Durant, who wanted to go to Phoenix and only Phoenix, and he found himself there. So, but have the Warriors, has he ever convinced anyone? I know he got KD in free agency, but has he ever had them trade for anybody? I mean, what have the Warriors done? He's 36. He's never done this before. And why, if you're a superstar, why do you want to come to this team too? Play with Steph at this point, really? Yeah, I think so. And I think the other part is I'm trying to play the long game here, which is I'm trying to envision what this is going to feel like the day that Steph Curry retires. And the day he retires, will you look back and say, you know what, the last 4 years, we really just didn't have the right strategy. We regret not being more aggressive when we had potentially a chance to be more aggressive. And maybe we could have gotten a 5th title out of Curry, and we never did. God, I don't think they're that close. And by the way, whoever pays Paul George that's going to end up being one of the worst contracts in NBA history. Well, get ready for Philadelphia 76ers. I'm actually not even sure they do it. Clap your hands, everybody. I just think that, you're talking about adding old superstars. That's totally not working anymore. I mean, KD is going to go from franchise to franchise hunting that next ring. Why didn't you bring that guy back? Why not run that thing back? I'm sure KD. I don't think you can get along with Draymond. He's already sick of Phoenix. The point is, careers end. Guys fade. We think that the natural order of things is different in sports because Tom Brady won a Super Bowl in Tampa and because LeBron is still doing this. The reality is stars get old and they can't keep winning titles. And that's what's happening with Steph Curry. And there's no way, the way the NBA salary cap is set up, it's going to be impossible for them to build a championship team around him. No, never impossible. But I get what you're saying. And I think this is why I'm talking about with Curry and talking about it with LeBron, where we're not really talking about this with, say, a Kawhi Leonard or even a Paul George or whatever. There is a certain amount of respect that has to be paid by a team when you have an all-time great. And you have the generational guy who is aging well and is taking care of his body and is still playing at a high level and is still delivering for you. I think and the Warriors have done this. You owe it as much to the player as the player owes it to you to maximize every season or try to maximize every season of that player. We don't give this to everybody. I'm not saying this about KD. This is rare for Curry and for LeBron, where every year has to be an all-in year at the end. Yeah, all in, great. What is that? There's no other all in. They are all in. They've paid everybody. They need a different type of all in because they paid everybody and they didn't make the playoffs. They would gladly mortgage their future to get Giannis. Guess what? That seems impossible. Yes, you know what? Give him Luka. Why not add Anthony Edwards in Minnesota? These are pipe dreams. It sounds like George Costanza planning an outfield for the Yankees. No. These moves they're not possible. It's not, because Luka doesn't want to leave, and because who else did you give me? Anthony Edwards. They don't want to leave. But if you there's no way a 25-year-old ascending superstar is coming to Golden State. Giannis isn't 25. Well, even Giannis, there's nothing the Warriors can offer to get Giannis. I'm just saying you have guys at different points in their careers who there's a legit strategy in the NBA to essentially wait for a disgruntled star. Yeah, like James Harden. But those are enormously distressed stars. Bring in Harden. See if that fixes it. There's not really NBA title winning players that are available on the market. Yeah, but you're pairing them with Steph Curry. Like who? Like Harden, LeBron? LeBron's 40. I watched him play 41 minutes last night and win a game.
If you put LeBron, you took out Clay and you put LeBron on that, you think the Warriors are favorites? LeBron can't win with Anthony Davis.
Listen, I like my can-do attitude more than I like your defeatist attitude because you're not winning any titles with the Perloff method. My
method is Jonathan Kuminga becomes a great shot. Listen, mine is called reality. Yours is called fantasy basketball.
I feel like I watch fantasy basketball with the NBA. If I didn't see it year after year after year, guys teaming up, guys forcing where they wanted to go, major facelifts on teams overnight. If that didn't happen, I wouldn't be sitting here suggesting it. But I watch it happen every offseason.
And what's the team recently that's won doing that?
I mean, you want to? I can give you the Heat.
Recently.
I will give you.
I mean, the Raptors brought in Kawhi for 1 year, and they got lucky because KD blew out his Achilles.
Well,
but generally,
I'm telling you. Or how about this? I don't know if I can give you a winner, but I can give you a team that gets closer than losing a one-game play-in rather, to the Sacramento Kings, who have been basically free-falling ever since Malik Monk got hurt, ever since Kevin Huerter got hurt. So I could give you a team, at least can I get you closer? Because the Warriors right now, this is not close. Being 10th place and losing to Sacramento, a team that you generally have been really good against, that's not close. Get you closer.
Who's the team you're giving me closer?
I'm telling you, I can try to get Steph closer with a different cast of characters.
Yeah, I'd love to have a different. I just think that the realistic way the NBA teams are built, I don't think they have this option. Yeah, I would love to bring in a bunch of great players if I'm the Warriors, but I don't know how they're going to do that.
I don't need a bunch. I need one other great player to pair with Steph Curry. 855-212-4227. All right, it is Wednesday, which means.
The Great Debate Series.
All right, we do this every Wednesday at this time, and this one is inspired, like most weeks, by some news of the week. And it started with the Masters and then continued on into Monday. All-time great broadcasters who are calling it a career. So Vern Lundquist called his last Masters. Then John Sterling, the voice of the Yankees, he decided to hang it up. He's been the voice of the Yankees since 1989. So today, the great debate, the greatest call of all time. Not the greatest broadcaster necessarily, but the greatest call you've ever heard. Play-by-play, live call of a sporting event. Who is the greatest? Perloff, you can start us off.
So I actually am lucky because I don't know how I got the jump on this one first, but I have one of the greatest broadcasters of all time and the greatest call of all time. So I got a combo platter. Of course, you know the movie Miracle. Where do you think it came from? Let's play it.
Puck is still loose. 11 seconds. You've got 10 seconds. The countdown going on right now. Morrow up to Schultz. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
So I'm sure everybody's got calls from big games, but not games that change the entire world order. We beat the Soviet Union. Al Michaels, who had only called one hockey game his whole life and had this incredible career, the one call he'll be known for his entire life is a sport that he didn't even cover. They showed it on tape delay, changed the world. 1980 Olympics, Al Michaels. Do you believe in miracles? Yes. Yes, I do.
It's an all-time great call. I guess some diplomacy mixed in with that call.
Oh, yeah.
Beating the Soviets and then going on to beat Finland.
I think the most famous, Jesse Owens doing it in Berlin was bigger.
Yeah,
but
this
was probably second place in sort of world-changing sporting events.
Yeah, I don't think we have that live call of Jesse Owens. I don't know if it's probably not. Okay, for me, we're doing great debate today. The greatest calls of all time, the greatest live calls, announcer calls ever. And for me, this one is huge because it's a rivalry game. It's a all-time moment. It's got a nickname, and the enthusiasm of this call is unmatched.
56-yarder. Does not have the leg. And Chris Davis takes it in the back of the end zone. He'll run it out to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game. He ran the missed field goal back. He ran it back 109 yards. won the Iron Bowl in the most unbelievable fashion you will ever see. I cannot believe it. 34-28. And we thought a miracle at Jordan Hare was amazing. Oh, my Lord in heaven. Chris Davis just read it. 109 yards. And Auburn is going to the championship game.
Oh, wow. I mean, the enthusiasm, basically having an orgasm in the booth there. And I understand it because...
We got pizza here.
Because... that it's not just the rivalry game, but also what it represented, right? Because you're also going on, this is the Cam Newton Auburn team, and that's Rod Bramblett on Auburn radio. Just the joy, pure joy. Sorry, could I not say that on air? EJ, you're up.
It happened
It's
already.
too late now.
Yeah, so
I'm not Pete.
It's not a curse.
Biological term.
Pete just used his remote dump button.
Pete actually just threw a blow dart into my neck from his house.
His computer rig.
I'm going to have a Vortex and break now.
He's on his phone being like, dump. What's going on? So, my pick. Okay, so great picks. I'm going to take us back, though. I'm taking us back all the way to the 60s. It's a cut we've actually played on the show for an earlier great debate. But now we're talking about greatest calls, and you're talking about iconic voices. And really, when you think about basketball, how do you not think about this play?
Greer's putting the ball on a play. He gets it out deep, and Havlicek steals it over to Stan Jones. Havlicek stole the ball. It's all over. It's all over. Johnny Havlicek is being mobbed by the fans. It's all over.
Johnny Most, Havlicek stole the ball. Raspy voice, probably smoking a cigarette right before the play. Probably spilled out of his mouth when Havlicek made the play. I think it's really synonymous with the Boston Celtics dynasty of the 50s and 60s. John Havlicek, of course, one of the greatest players of all time. And Johnny Most, I mean, I hate the Celtics. I hate most things Boston.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he is what you think about when you think of local play-by-play announcers. Character, very partisan, clearly rooting for the team that's happening, lying about what's happening on the court. He was the best. So I think that this is a pretty easy pick for me. I'm going with Johnny Most. Havlicek stole the ball.
Can I be honest? I know Havlicek stole the ball. Like, it's deeply imprinted on my sports brain. I don't know the circumstances. I actually describe it like, that's one of those ones, like, you know Havlicek stole the ball, but do most people know when he stole the ball or what impact it had?
It was a Tuesday in December. Didn't mean that much.
Yeah, it's funny. It's definitely so iconic, but I think the some of the details of it are a little foggier.
Bogusch, what do you have for us in the great debate today, the greatest sports calls of all time?
Unlike EJ, I'm going to go with something that I was alive for. It's one of my earliest baseball moments. Baseball is my first love. And this is the opposite, Maggie, to of your Auburn call. All the excitement that was, different level of subduedness in this call. Game 1, 1988 World Series, A's and Dodgers in L.A., and Kirk Gibson wobbles to the plate with Jack Buck on the mic.
Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right field. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable! A home run for Gibson. And the Dodgers have won the game 5-4. I don't believe what I just saw. I don't believe what I just saw.
Sometimes just a handful of words are better than orgasmic moans and whatnot on Auburn radio. It is one of the most significant moments in baseball history. Kirk Gibson, much like Perloff with major disruptions to both MCLs, fights off pitch after pitch against Dennis Eckersley and then somehow muscles out that 2-run homer. I don't think he gets another at-bat in the entire series with the Dodgers win in 5 games over the A's to win the 88 World Series after beating my Mets in the NLCS somehow in Game 7.
Is it possible that one kind of call is appropriate for baseball, another for college? You need that for college football, right?
Yeah.
Well, also a radio call versus TV. So radio, you need, right?
Those
was this
are both
the radio call?
Yeah.
I thought Vin Scully had the radio call.
No, Vin Scully was on TV.
Oh, Vin was the TV call.
Yes.
Okay. Because sometimes with radio, you need more, and TV, you need less, obviously.
Yeah.
And Joe Buck is kind of a clinic on that. Carlos, you are in for Pete today. You get to pick the greatest call of all time. That's our great debate. What do you have?
Well, I'll channel my inner Pete. First of all, let me say I'm very disappointed in EJ because EJ this is the type of call that he would pick. When I'm looking for my calls, I want it to transcend the actual event itself. This call is completely iconic, but me and Bogusch are on the same wavelength. This was also in 1998. I'll let the call speak for itself and then elaborate. Good old JR Jim Ross at the WWF/WWE. I don't know what they were at that point. That was the third Hell in a Cell match ever. It was Undertaker versus Mankind. And right off the rip, Undertaker flings Mankind off of the top of the cage.
Yep.
It's crashing into the Spanish announce table. Not only did Mankind get up, he gets back on top of the Hell in a Cell. Undertaker choke slams, he breaks through, and he lands in the middle of the ring. They think he's dead for how crazy that bump was. That call has transcended not only wrestling, that was peak Attitude Era, and that call is basically a meme now.
Yeah.
You can use that in various YouTube videos. It's the funniest thing of all time, like when Germany destroyed Brazil or the other way around in the World Cup. That was used.
There you go.
I mean,
I love the detail, the Spanish broadcasting table.
It's always the Spanish broadcast table.
Yeah. They always take the brunt of the punishment.
I mean, I've not to name drop, I've talked to Mankind about this. I mean, he said that really, maybe he's lying because this is all a little bit of theater, but he said that really changed him. It was
had to.
It literally changed his wrestling style. He's like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, he can't do it anymore. And so it's funny because the punishment that he took from that, it's like it really changed who he was. Okay, there you go. Great debate for today. The greatest call in the history of sports. Perloff went with Al Michaels. Do you believe in miracles? I went with the Auburn kick 6. EJ went with Johnny Most. Havlicek stole the ball. Bogusch, Jack Buck's Kirk Gibson call in the World Series. And Carlos went with Jim Ross calling Mankind in Hell in a Cell. Got a lot for you. 855-212-4227. We return. More basketball coming your way next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Is this another theme song, Carlos?
Of course, we're keeping the theme going.
So the theme is songs from bands that have cities, that have teams alive in the Western Conference that are from cities. I do not. You got this one, Mag?
Is this Rage?
This is Rage.
Where are they from? I thought they were
Rage
from
Against
New
the
Jersey.
Machine is from, I don't know where Rage is from. Are
Is
they?
it Tom Morello from the East?
One of their albums is called Battle of Los Angeles.
Oh, they're from LA. Yeah, okay.
Tom Morello's from LA?
I don't know about him specifically. I know the band is from LA.
Love a little Rage. Should incorporate more of that into the show.
So what team are we talking about here?
Is it Clippers or Lakers?
It's the Clippers. They're the 4th seed.
Why did
A
you
little
do
more angsty.
Yeah, I got to be honest. Like, there's so many like bands that I don't know.
Oh, here we go with the credits.
Like, you're not going to do Snoop Dogg or Dr. Dre or
You don't think I was going to put Snoop and Dre for the Lakers? That they're more synonymous with the Lakers than they are the Clippers.
Nobody's synonymous with the
And I
Clippers.
guess technically the Lakers, well, yeah, I mean, they're going
It's
to be
really
in.
more Jack Nicholson, but he doesn't sing.
He doesn't have an album. Paul Abdul.
By the way, you're right.
Really good with the
all the
Lakers.
Rage. I didn't know
She
the
was a
Rage
Laker
Against
girl.
the Machine was
Yeah,
from
Rage-
LA.
Rage
They
is from
feel
LA.
very angsty and not California. But yeah.
Not
I guess
exactly.
they
Red
want
Hot
to
Chili
upset the establishment that is LA Order, whatever that is.
I mean, aren't
Yeah,
the
they're
Cautiousness.
very LA. Wow, they are all from. I'm an idiot. Okay.
aren't the Doors like the greatest band from LA?
Yeah, I mean they're very LA. No, I think
I'm partial to Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I think with Red Hot Chili Peppers and when Dre and Tupac did that song about California, like that kind of like I don't know.
That song about California.
Yeah,
the one that's called California.
California
Oh,
Love.
with the Beach Boys. No, the
Boys.
Beach Boys are the most iconic LA band, right?
I still think the Doors are, but that's just me.
This sounds like a poll because I don't know if Beach Boys are as iconic as you think they are.
Well, no, because it's
They-
connected to a place, the beach.
Yeah, but there's beaches a lot of places.
I don't know. I think the Beach Pet Sounds is like one of the all-time greatest albums ever. No, I think so.
EJ, this is another great debate for
California,
next week.
isn't there a big song, California Girls? Isn't that from them?
I
mean,
think that's Katy Perry.
No.
Question
That's,
mark?
Wish
Katy
They All
Perry
Could Be
definitely did that.
California Girls is definitely the Beach Boys.
But then, no. The Katy Perry does have a good song called California Girls. It's a playoff.
Yeah.
And obviously, let's
Oh,
not
thank God I
forget.
didn't make that
Let's
up.
not forget David Lee Roth.
Oh, can't forget him.
What about him?
He's saying California Girls. And he has that video where he's just walking past a million girls in bikinis. The young Andrew Perloff was really into this video.
There you
Great
go.
video. Don't remember the song.
So the great,
Yeah, of course.
the great debate today actually is not greatest bands from LA. We could do that. Maybe it sounds like a summer topic, but also the greatest sports calls of all time. We had Vern Lundquist, who called his last Masters. John Sterling has retired as the voice of the Yankees, got us thinking about all-time great calls. So I'll just run through them quickly. We just did them, and then we see you guys on the phones. Perloff did Al Michaels' Do You Believe in Miracles? I did the Auburn Kick 6. EJ went with Johnny Most, Havlicek Stole the Ball. Bogusch went with Jack Buck, Kirk Gibson call, not the Vin Scully version, the Jack Buck version. And Carlos went with Jim Ross of the WWE, calling Mankind broken in half and Hell in a Cell. Let's get to you. Brandon is in Utah. He's got one for us. Hi, Brandon. How are you?
Good. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. What's your greatest live call?
Well, my favorite play caller of all time is Hot Rod Hundley from the Utah Jazz. And my number one, I guess, would be John Stockton shooting over Charles Barkley to send him into the finals.
Here we go. This is what it sounds like.
Russell to Stockton. Stock for three. Stock. Got it. Unbelievable. John Stockton. John Stockton. It's over. The Jazz win it. Utah goes to Chicago. Stockton hits the three. It's over. The Jazz are coming to Chicago. They've won the West.
There you go. That sounds old.
Yeah.
96.
Brandon, thank you so much. Appreciate that.
We know how that ended.
We do. We won't bring that up to Brandon.
Man, that's 28 years old.
What's that?
That's 28 years old.
Sounds about right. I was a kid.
I saw that era is on Hardwood Classics on NBA TV all the time, man. And I'm immediately, if I see any of those late 90s NBA basketball,
elbow hurts.
Amazing. What do you
Nothing.
do? Oh, you're saying I'm gripping something too tightly?
We know that it's the golf elbow, and you haven't played golf in years. So what were we left to believe? Christina's in Toronto. Christina, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. What's your nomination for greatest sports live call of all time?
I got two.
Okay.
The Miami Miracle
Okay.
and Touch 'em All Joe.
We got that one for you. Let's hear it.
Here's a pitch on the way. A swing and a belt. Left field. Way back. Blue Jays win it. The Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run in the 9th inning, and the Blue Jays have repeated as World Series champions. Touch 'em all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
Awesome call. Wait, Chrissy, the Miami Miracle, is that the lateral plays? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, the one against the Patriots.
Okay, we weren't exactly sure. Christina, thanks so much for that, and we'll find it for you. But the Touch 'em all Joe is beyond iconic. Yeah.
Still some mystery about where that ball is, by the way. Have you guys ever heard that theory?
Mm-mm.
That the Joe Carter home run never really went out of the park and no one's found the ball? That's a Philly desperation theory.
Jeez, that is
Wait, what?
that is sad.
They never found the Joe Carter ball, and I don't know why Phillies fans sometimes glom onto that.
But don't we see it go over the fence?
Not so much.
Really?
This is an Aaron Rodgers conspiracy theory.
Rodgers isn't.
If it's on the internet, it must be true.
I gotta find this. There is some made up Philadelphia controversy about the Joe Carter home run. Proceed. I will find it.
All right. Well, we see you guys. You want to get more of your favorite announcer calls? Let us know. That's our great debate today. Bogusch has headlines. Good morning.
Good morning again. So USA basketball coach Steve Kerr can now focus fully on shunning Jalen Brunson from the Paris Olympics now that his Warriors season is done with a thud in Sacramento.
Here's Davion. Hesitates, circles under the basket, lobs it out to Alex Lynn, hands to Keegan, rocks, fires, scores! Boy, that was a quick release that time, and it had to be because Draymond Green was right there.
And that's Pete's submission for his favorite call ever because he loves himself some Gary Gerald on Kings Radio. Draymond Green might have been there on that play, but he and the Warriors put up little resistance in the second half in Sacramento last night. The Kings running away with a 118-94 victory in the play-in tourney. De'Aaron Fox and company usually lose to Golden State, including at home in Game 7 in Round 1 last spring.
Obviously, this team beat us last year in the playoffs, and I mean, it feels good to win this game, but we know we have to go on the road and win another one for us to, accomplish the first step in our goal.
Which is being the 8th seed in the West. That trip takes them to New Orleans Friday night to decide that final spot. The Pelicans losing at home last night to the Lakers 110-106. Zion scored 40, grabbed 11 boards, but then left with 3 minutes to go with left leg soreness. LeBron and the Lakers are now the 7 seed. They need some rest before they face the Nuggets in Denver on Saturday.
It was a long-ass road trip. You almost forget that we was in Memphis before these 2 games. Tonight was definitely a playoff game. So get your mind right, get your body right, trying to get as much recovery we can before we have to go out there on Saturday. On the floor on Saturday versus Denver.
LeBron had 23 points, 9 boards, and 9 assists last night. Anthony Davis threw in 20 and 15 rebounds.
Do the Lakers, by the way, just sort of tank those first 2 games in Denver? Just be like, all right, just rest and hope that they can rally. You know what I mean? Like sometimes teams will not go full out of game 1 of the series, try and get their legs underneath them, and then bring it on. Because I don't know how they last in Denver in that high altitude. LeBron looked like he was gasping by the end.
Well, he played 41 minutes last night. You really can't stake the Nuggets to a 2-game lead and think you have a prayer. I think, this is something that the Cavs used to do with the Warriors when they were really up against it with LeBron, which is really try to go for game 1. Like game 1, try to steal game 1 and maybe catch your opponent off guard a little bit and then see where things go from there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really tough to get it off to a good start in this series. I think it's going to be a tough series.
Yeah.
There you go, NBA analysis.
But you know what? And this will be the first thing out of LeBron's mouth if they lose game 1 Saturday was tired, altitude,
Memphis trip.
The Memphis trip.
Don't forget the Memphis trip.
We were there 2 Wednesdays ago. Still feeling it. Blake Griffin called it a career yesterday after 13 NBA seasons with the Clippers, Pistons, Nets, and Celtics. His best years, of course, with Lob City. His best season was 2013-14 when he finished 3rd in MVP voting. Griffin was also voted All-NBA 5 times, but never first team. EJ wants me to ask the group, is he a Hall of Famer?
Everyone's a Hall of Famer, but if even with a very high standard.
Big time Hall of Famer. Dude jumped over a Kia. What else you have to do?
In a game I thought the same thing. In an event that didn't count. That's so funny. Like that's the thing he's known for.
That's what dunk contests do for people. Yeah, I think he's a Hall of Famer. He had how many years was he in college for? 2 years or 1? I can't remember. He was in for 2, had 1 million points at Oklahoma. I think and they combine that, right? That's part of the criteria for basketball.
The basketball Hall of Fame, not the NBA Hall of Fame.
He's going to make it. Also, he's famous. One thing, what jumps to mind, he really did have a crazy way to ruin his time in L.A. with punching that guy. That was a bizarre scandal because he's known as a nice guy. He's a comedian.
Yes, I forgot about
that. And he knocked out one of his friends. That's definitely a black mark on his career. But other than that, it's been great.
Man, I totally forgot about that until you mentioned it. It was someone who worked for the team, right?
Yes, and it was his good buddy, and they were at a dinner table, and that story has never really fully come out as far as I know.
So I believe I don't think he has any NBA, all NBA first teams.
Correct.
He's got 2 second teams and 3 third teams, pardon me.
That's pretty good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely a Hall of Famer. I think he's kind of underrated as a player and because those Clippers teams didn't go as far in the playoffs.
Well,
and a lot of it was because he was hurt.
Collapses.
A couple, but some of them he got hurt in the playoffs, or he didn't play in the playoffs, or someone else got hurt in the playoffs. It was Chris Paul. A lot of weird stuff happened to those Clippers teams. He was a superstar. There was no question. He was a dominant player. It's just the way he played doesn't lend itself to a long prime, and once it went pretty quick.
Man, they traded him to Siberia too. That Detroit team had nothing on it.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of those playoff failures, now you look back and say, well, was Doc Rivers the guy to win those series? So
right.
And Chris Paul, too, had a lot of playoff failures. So I don't put it all on Blake. He's my favorite kind of player, is Vince Carter, just starting out as a dunking machine, then sort of devolve into a three-point shooter. That's Blake. If you can't jump over everyone, then he moved, and it turned out to be a great shooter, which no one ever would have saw. Yes, I think his career was disappointing in the playoffs, but I think, you're right. It's a pretty low bar nowadays to get into the NBA Hall of Fame, and I definitely put him in despite the playoff sort of failures. He also, entertainment-wise, nobody would try dunks that Blake Griffin would try. He'd be 6 feet away and be like, you know what, I'm going to try and throw this one down. He was awesome.
And never went to a Western Conference final.
Only 3,296 fans, that's Scotty Scheffler's fault, watched the A's lose to the Cardinals last night 3-2. The Mets rallying for a 3-1 win over the Pirates, clinching their 4th straight series win, while the Brewers will lose their first series of the season thanks to a 6-3 home loss to the Padres. A woman who accused Trevor Bauer of sexual assault is now facing criminal charges for allegedly defrauding Bauer and another separate man. There's also a count of extortion connected to him. This is not the woman, though, whose accusations led to Bauer's MLB suspension. Browns QB Deshaun Watson says he is now throwing at full strength following November shoulder surgery, and the Washington Capitals clinched the final wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference by winning their regular season finale last night in Philly 2-1. Guys, back to you.
Bogusch, thank you so much. Our great debate today is the best sports call of all time, the best live call. We see you guys on the phones. We want to get your input on this. Also, a very unique, maybe new strategy for how to pick a quarterback in the NFL draft. We'll get to that too. It's Maggie and Perloff, Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
VIP. Let's kick it.
All right, the theme for the music today is bands or musicians from cities representing the Western Conference in the NBA playoffs. Where's Vanilla Ice
Well, I think
from?
he wore a lot of Miami Hurricane stuff, but is he from Texas?
He is from Texas.
Oh, is this your Dallas?
This is
That's
this
it.
Dallas?
icon
dude,
Vanilla Ice.
come on.
Wow.
Come on.
All the musicians out of Dallas, all the great country stars
Post
out of
Malone's
Dallas.
wearing a Cowboys jersey right now. You could have at least done him or Stevie Ray Vaughan. Nothing.
The
You went with
iconic Vanilla Ice. Acclaimed rapper, acclaimed actor. I don't know
great
what else.
dude. Great dude.
He was great, and that's
all
my
the
boy.
Sandler. He's a part of the Sandler clan. He's awesome.
It was phenomenal, and that's my boy. That is absolutely his best role.
Also, another person who was in our Maggie and Perloff one-hit wonder bracket, our March Madness tournament that we had, Vanilla Ice did make it in. There you go. Okay, great debate today, which we do on Wednesdays around here. Something loosely based on the news. Vern Lundquist, John Sterling, two iconic voices who are calling it a career. We're asking you for the greatest call of all time, the greatest live call of all time. Larry is in San Francisco, has got a nominee for us. Hi, Larry.
Hi, how are you doing today?
We're doing excellent. What's up?
Great. Okay, Cal versus Stanford, 1982 is called The Play. And the bands and the fans ran onto the field. Joe Starkey with his squeaky voice at the end of the call.
Here's what it sounded like.
Rodgers along the sideline, another one. They're still in deep trouble at midfield. They tried to do a couple of... The ball is still loose as they get it to Rodgers. They give it back now to the 30. They're down to the 20. Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. He's going into the end. The Bears! The Bears have won. The Bears have won. Oh, my God. The most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football.
Unbelievable, Larry. Fantastic nomination for one of the all-time great calls. What's awesome about that, and that's why I picked the kick six, the Auburn, Alabama, amazing call there, because you have to do a little of the unique play-by-play, right? Because interesting things are happening, like the band is on the field, but then you also have to contextualize in the moment what it means. That's what makes a great live call.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. The band is on the field. Like, you can say there's certain calls where the words immediately translate. The band is on the field. EJ went with Havlicek stole the ball.
Yeah.
I went with Do You Believe in Miracles? They're just, you don't even need to hear the call, you know. Certain calls get a few. There's only like 5 or 6 calls. The Giants win the pennant. Although there are amazing, like your kick six call is amazing. You don't know the actual phrase that is used, but the band is on the field. Everyone knows immediately what that means.
Duncan is in Jersey City. Hey, Duncan, how are you?
How are you doing? Listen, I know everybody knows Uncle Howie Rose for calling the Met games right now, but in '94 he did the Rangers playoffs. The call against the Devils, the Mateau call, absolutely brilliant call, especially factor in the Rangers' drought and the year they finally broke through. But I do got a comment, though. Somebody on the staff nominating a wrestling call.
That is Carlos.
That was me.
Big
I did.
Jim Ross, iconic. Yeah.
I'm on XM radio staring at my thing, and it says CBS Sports, and this knucklehead puts in a wrestling call, which we all know isn't a sport.
Duncan, so here's the thing. We allow the technicality because JR is an all-time great. I think that Jim Ross could call anything. You know, he chose to go to professional wrestling, but Jim Ross could have been, he's a huge college football fan. Jim Ross could have been a college football announcer. He could have done anything, but he picked wrestling. As for the Howie Rose, and Duncan, thanks for the call. As for the Howie Rose Game 7 between the Rangers and the Devils, this is what it sounded like.
Keesoff for the Devils, plays it cross ice into the far corner. Matteau swoops in to intercept. Matteau behind the net, swings it in front. He scores! Matteau! 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 Stefan Matteau! And the Rangers have one more hill to climb, baby! But it's Mount Vancouver! The Rangers are headed to the final!
And that was 94. And then the finals, when the Rangers won, you got a great Sam Rosen call there of this one will last a lifetime. But I think that's more only famous in New York.
I think the most famous wrestling quote, I mean, let's be honest, it's still real to me, damn it, is probably more iconic. Settle down, man. That might be the most iconic wrestling, huh? It's still real to me. What did Jim Ross say? Like, Jim Ross was just, what did he say? What's the line? He doesn't have a line, though.
He's broken him in half.
He's broken him in half.
He
That's
killed
pretty,
him.
Yeah.
God is my witness. He's broken in half. Those are
Those
iconic.
slobber knockers. That's a huge thing that he has.
I think he named his book that too. Jim Ross is he's been a fun friend of the show. He's an amazing broadcaster. And I know that our caller, Duncan, said Carlos should not have picked a wrestling call because we are a sports talk radio station. He obviously missed our turn at WrestleMania. But
our heel turn at WrestleMania.
Our heel turn at WrestleMania. We really turned heel on the whole crowd, everyone who was there. But, I do think that Jim Ross he could have called anything.
He could have called paint drying. He just has an iconic voice.
I believe so. Okay, let's go to William is in San Francisco. Hey, William, how are you?
Morning. How is everybody this morning?
We're doing great. What's on your mind?
They kind of took my thunder already, Callie. I had called in earlier. I was mentioning the Bears.
Bears against Stanford.
Game.
Yep, an all-timer.
And then right after that, I think Perloff did mention my Bobby Thompson shot heard around the world at the Giants. That was just definitely iconic, of course, in the Bay Area. But I mean, the excitement and everything in that call was pretty good. No doubt.
Let's hear it, William.
Back to throws. There's a long flag. I believe. The Giants won the pennant. 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 Bobby Thompson hits into the very back of the left field stand. The Giants won the pennant, and they're going crazy. They're going crazy.
Well, that's interesting. Is it iconic in the Bay Area? Bay Area claims this Giants
That's
win?
what I was saying. That definitely happened.
Oh, yeah.
in
That
New
was
York.
1950.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 1950. The Dodgers didn't move until 57, right? So I don't know. I get it. That is pretty cool, though. And that's another one where Giants win the pennant. I'll bet you most people know that line and don't know the full context.
Probably not.
Yeah, because it obviously was a long time ago. But yeah, certainly he's been in a million movies. The Giants win the pennant, so it must have been big.
855-212-4227. Mike's in Idaho has got one for us. Hey, Mike, how are you?
My call. This one, I grew up in the Seattle area in the 90s. I was a kid, so the one that just lives rent-free is Dave Niehaus, longtime broadcaster for the Seattle Mariners, and his call on Edgar Martinez's double where Griffey scores to win. I mean, it's been iconic in the Macklemore song, too, so it's hitting pop culture, too. It's a big one.
Wait, Mike, so we don't have it queued up. Can you just say it for us?
Yeah.
What is it?
I was at the game, so I didn't actually hear the call. I was a kid at the game up in the third deck of the Kingdom, so I didn't hear the call, but I went back later and saw it on TV. And Dave Niehaus is talking about Edgar. He's up to bat. He hits a double down the left field line. Griffey's on first, and Joey Cora's on second. Joey Cora scores easily. Griffey's rounding third, even though he shouldn't, because it's a double down left field line. They got the throw on the way in, and he's chugging like nothing else. And Dave Niehaus, I don't remember exactly how he phrases it, but he says something about Griffey rounds third. The throw to the plate is not in time. Griffey slides in. He stands up, jumping around. Well, he tries to stand up, but everyone's tackling him. And then Dave Niehaus going on. The Mariners win the pennant. The Mariners win the pennant. And his famous line, "My oh my," that was his catch.
Yep. Mike, thank you. While you were describing it, we found it.
They would love a base hit into the gap, and they could win it with Junior speed to stretch. And the 0-1 pitch on the way to Edgar Martinez. Swung on and lined down the left field line for a base hit. Here comes Joy. Here is Junior
Griffin at third base. They're going to wave him in. The throw to the plate will be late. The Mariners are going to play for the American League Championship. I don't believe it. It just continues. My, oh my. Edgar Martinez.
It's my favorite baseball play of all time. There's not even a close second. Say baseball. I was the best.
We continue the great debate, greatest live calls of all time. Also, what's at stake for the Warriors?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Lots going on today. Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. The Warriors season ends last night. The Lakers continue. They beat the Pelicans. They move on to face the Nuggets. So you got a crossroads for one team in the Bay Area with Golden State. And where do they go from here to try to become true contenders again? And then the Lakers have their hands full, Perloff, with the number 2 seed, but the defending champion Denver Nuggets. So we got a lot of basketball for you. We also have a story that just dropped like an hour ago from ESPN, and that is detailing some more fallout of why Bill Belichick did not end up with a head coaching job in this cycle.
Yeah, so this is Seth Wickersham, who is really, I love Seth, but he's kind of made a career of inside Patriots stories. The dude is plugged in. Him, Don Van Natta, and Jeremy Fowler did a deep dive, and basically it details all the close calls with Belichick, that the Eagles were very interested, the Cowboys maybe had some interest, and all the reasons that these teams did not ultimately pursue Belichick. But then it said it came down to Atlanta. Bill Belichick had a great meeting with Arthur Blank, and then Arthur Blank did some background calls, which is what you do when you hire somebody. And apparently he got a negative review from Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots.
Yeah, so it turns out that Blank was talking to Kraft owner to owner and said that Robert Kraft was warning Arthur Blank not to trust Bill Belichick.
Oof.
So Belichick had gone into these meetings saying, listen, I don't want to be the GM anymore. I just want to coach. I'm not going to try to have all the power in the building. I will work collaboratively with your top lieutenants. And they all were believing that until, this is kind of how the story makes it seem, until Robert Kraft called and said, do not trust Bill Belichick, and you will never have a warm conversation with Belichick. They're saying Blank likes coaches who feel part of the family, and it wasn't going to be that way with Bill. So essentially, Robert Kraft is out there sort of negging Bill Belichick, somebody who helped him win 6 Super Bowls because of the personal conflicts that they had and how it ended. Now, that's one part of it. You mentioned about the Dallas Cowboys. There is another spot in this piece where they say, Belichick, his options are dwindling in terms of getting a head coaching job again. A friend said, unless it's for Jerry Jones. So the idea that Mike McCarthy is in the last year of his deal and that Belichick is going to go do some media this year and then we'll reassess the next year, this is definitely leaving the door open here between Jerry Jones and Belichick.
Maybe. I mean, Jones didn't hire him this offseason, though.
That is true. But
there's a lot of reasons the reasons that people didn't hire him in this story are pretty amazing. The Eagles still love Nick Sirianni, according to this report. Well, I don't know. No, I think they do. I think they like Sirianni.
Because they can control Sirianni. He literally got asked in the postseason press conference, what do you do here?
But I think
it's amazing.
I think in the front office, they like him. I think they like him personally a lot. Washington wants the GM is more powerful than the coach model. That was really interesting to me. So they didn't want Belichick, even though the GM was with Belichick for, I think, a long time, at least 10 years, Adam Peters. So all these reasons are going to look real bad if they don't work out. If Washington said, no, we'd prefer not to have a strong coach, and then they go 3-14, or the Eagles lose with Nick Sirianni, I think we're going to look at this article and say, or the Cowboys with McCarthy, man, you had Belichick right there.
Absolutely.
He was dying to work for you.
Absolutely, let alone the Falcons. The Falcons were down the road on Belichick. They did multiple interviews. And apparently Arthur Blank liked him until he got the warning from Robert Kraft, and that turned them all off, according to this new story that's on ESPN. The Raiders passed because they had just hired multiple Belichick disciples, and that didn't work out. And the Titans passed because Mike Vrabel was so closely associated with Belichick, and they didn't want to go down that path again, too.
I like the future in Dallas because you could have Bailey Zappi at quarterback again next year.
Bring him back.
Dallas has a much bigger problem. Like, they don't have any players moving forward.
Well, the reason
not
why
a single one.
The reason why the Dallas part works, and I think Dallas will eventually re-sign CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons, but the Dak stuff is totally up in the air. You know, the reason why this could work is because you're never going to have a bigger voice than Jerry Jones. So if Belichick is really out there saying, I don't want to be the GM, I just want to be the coach, that could actually work in Dallas.
Yeah,
Other
but
places it might not.
That was very obviously a lie. That's what the article also said. No one in Atlanta believed that was true. And so Jerry famously is not wanting to coach who's bigger than he is. He fired Jimmy Johnson for that reason. Maybe at the very end he tried.
Brought in Parcells.
What's that?
Brought in Parcells.
Yeah, and then he said never again. You know, look at Dave Campo and Chan Gailey and all these other guys. I don't know if he had Chan Gailey. I assume he did. But he's, had Jason Garrett around for 12 years. That's what the article said, that he doesn't, he's loyal and he doesn't really want a big name in there. That team their roster is going to stink next year. I don't even think Belichick can save it. Either way, this is funny. To me, the headline I think that's going to stick and be a big story for a long time is Robert Kraft betrays Belichick.
Yeah, calling teams and having candid conversations. That's what they call it. I don't know who called who, but having candid conversations about what it's really like to work with Bill Belichick.
It's Shakespearean.
It's a bad experience.
Yeah, it's Shakespearean to just screw over the guy, stabbed him in the back, full on.
Well, apparently Robert Kraft wanted to get rid of Bill Belichick after the 2022 season, and his son talked him out of it. So they could have even parted ways even before this last disastrous season. The quote that is going to be pulled out of here from now to Kingdom Come is, quote, he was essentially voted off the island. And that's Bill Belichick. Now I'm wondering if he's ever going to be a head coach again. Also said he didn't want to be in California, and the Chargers were just as happy because they wanted Harbaugh anyway. But he didn't want to go cross country and didn't want to go to California. So a lot of interesting things in that article. It is Wednesday. Around here, we do something called The Great Debate. Today, inspired by the news of some all-time broadcasters calling it a career, we're asking for the greatest live call of all time. Now, because we're resetting this, I kind of want to quickly go through our own live calls again. These were our choices. Perloff, why don't you start us off?
Oh, I went with, do you believe in miracles?
Puck is still loose. 11 seconds. You've got 10 seconds. The countdown going on right now. Morrow up to Schultz. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
It's amazing how much lower Al Michaels' voice got. That sounds kind of high for Al Michaels.
Yeah. Maybe it was the moment. I mean, that's a long time ago. It was 1980, and we still have Al Michaels.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.
I went with a great call from college football. It is the kick 6 in the Iron Bowl.
56-yarder. Does not have the leg. And Chris Davis takes it in the back of the end zone. He'll run it out to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game. He ran the missed field goal back. He ran it back 109 yards. They're not going to keep him off the field tonight. Holy cow. Oh, my God. Auburn wins. Auburn has won the Iron Bowl. Auburn has won the Iron Bowl in the most unbelievable fashion you will ever see. I cannot believe it. 34-28. And we thought a miracle in Jordan Hare was amazing. Oh, my Lord in heaven. Chris Davis just ran it 109 yards. And Auburn is going to the championship game.
They would unfortunately lose that championship game to Florida State, but that's an all-time call. You can just feel the emotion, tears in the booth, and the man who authored that incredible call was Rod Bramblett, and unfortunately, he has since passed away in a car accident. EJ, who was your greatest live call of all time, our great debate this week?
It is the one live call so synonymous with the NBA, happened in the 60s. It is the great Johnny Most with Havlicek stole the ball.
Greer's putting the ball on a play. He gets it out deep, and Havlicek steals it over
Havlicek stand Jones. Havlicek stole the ball. It's all over. It's all over. Johnny Havlicek is being mobbed by the fans. It's all over.
I mean, I love Johnny most, even though I hate the Celtics. I don't know how you can. He was such a character.
You can hear him knocking over the ashtray. You know?
Oh, yeah, the ashtray is everywhere. He's probably, getting the next cigar from Red Auerbach as he's making the call. I mean, that was just a different time in American sports. Johnny Most really kind of embodied that, so he's my pick.
Bogusch is busy right now, so we'll give his, which was the Kirk Gibson home run in the World Series. This is the Jack Buck version.
Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right field. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable! A home run for Gibson. And the Dodgers have won the game 5-4. I don't believe what I just saw. I don't believe what I just saw.
Unbelievable. And the Vin Scully call, also amazing on that one particular play. We're doing the greatest calls of all time. Today is our great debate. Carlos went with a very controversial selection. If you are listening to us, yes, this is a sports talk radio station and show, but he went with who?
I went with the voice of wrestling. I don't care what promotion he works for, but at the time, WWE, and this was the most iconic call that he's ever made in his long career. And no surprise, The Undertaker did win that match because Mankind was getting thrown off from hell, literally. Not once, but twice. So just good for Mick Foley that he survived that.
Yeah, Mick Foley was unbelievable, and that one changed him for a long time. So we are asking you the greatest live call ever. Mike is in Syracuse. Mike, what do you have? Mike?
Well, if you go back to 1973, two unbeaten heavyweight boxers squaring off in Kingston, Jamaica, and Howard Cosell at the mic with the Down Goes Frazier.
Here's what it sounded like.
Angie Dundee, Ali's trainer, right next to me is saying it. You may hear him. Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! The heavyweight champion is taking the mandatory 8 count, and Foreman is as poised as can be in a neutral corner. He is.
There you go. Mike, thank you so much for the phone call. I missed Howard Cosell. I wasn't, he was before my time, but the Down Goes Frazier, an all-timer.
Also, in the movie Ali, that's one of the best scenes when Ali's sitting there trying to get back. He's just obsessing over beating Joe Frazier. Then George Foreman comes out of nowhere, and the people around Ali are like, uh-oh, you have a bigger problem.
Yeah, right.
The name's George Foreman.
Yeah, and then the Rumble in the Jungle, which was iconic then, and Ali's rope-a-dope on Foreman. Ty is in Boise, has got a nomination for us. Great debate, greatest live calls of all time, sports calls. Hey, Ty.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
We're doing great.
Good. I want to take you back to 1986, the 10th inning, Game 6 of the World Series with Vin Scully.
Let's hear it.
5-5 in a delirious 10th inning. Can you believe this ball game at Shea? Oh, brother. 3-2 to Mookie Wilson. Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
You know what's interesting about that, Ty? Thanks so much for that one, and special for a lot of people around here. But here's the thing about that. It's the call of a mistake. It's very different, that call, than all the other ones. We've been doing triumphant calls. Havlicek steals the ball, which I guess is a mistake. I guess that's kind of a mistake, but mine is like a kick six. Yours is...
Well, there were mistakes made on that play.
Yeah, but it's not going to be Saban had too many offensive linemen out there on the... it's to be too hard to...
Well, you think of the great Larry Bird steal off Isaiah and Dumars. Was that was known for a mistake or the great play?
Yeah, you're right. Maybe because Kirk Gibson, it's also the Dennis Eckersley gives up the home run. So, yeah, I guess there's both sides.
That's interesting.
Because it's not like Mookie Wilson hit this amazing
But it's
ball.
funny. I still remember it as a pot. You're right. Bill Buckner is one of the all-time sports GOATs because of that. Not GOAT as in greatest of all time, but GOAT. And still, I remember it as a positive event. Like, oh my gosh, Mets fans celebrated for years off this.
Yeah,
In fact,
well.
probably still are.
Well, kind of still dining out on that one. But yeah. All right. So there you go. Keep them coming. The all-time greatest calls of all time, sports calls, off of a couple legendary broadcasters calling it a career this week. Okay, we've got lots more for you from both the Warriors and also the Lakers. We also check in with the Cowboys. We get a little more update, reasoning behind this slow off season from one of the very, very top of the food chain in Dallas. We do that next. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. So my phone's already blowing up with one question, Maggie. Should we have hired Bill Belichick? Because a new report from ESPN has the details of how Bill Belichick, the Patriots coach, did not get hired in this offseason. And they talked about a lot of teams. The one they talked about the most was the Atlanta Falcons, who it turns out might have got a negative review from Patriots owner Robert Kraft. But the second team that got the most ink was the Philadelphia Eagles, who have a lot of connections to Bill Belichick. They hire a lot of Bill Belichick guys. Obviously, Matt Patricia had an ill-fated stint in Philadelphia. But they decide they love Nick Sirianni. But here's the thing, Maggie. I would not have been excited for Bill Belichick as the Eagles coach. Not that the game is passing by, but they were terrible in New England last year.
Yeah.
I think it takes time for Bill Belichick to build a culture, and I don't see that happening again. I know that some of the teams that didn't hire him are going to fail, but I don't get that vibe like, oh, man, I really wish I had Bill Belichick here. I might be an idiot for this because I'm sure Nick Sirianni will screw it up big time, but I'm not like living in regret about not getting Bill Belichick.
Well, I think teams are going to regret it. And, listen, Raheem Morris might do a great job in Atlanta. This could be one of those sliding door things where he ends up being the exact right person for them. And it's one of the great, we do the multiverse of Maggie and Perloff on Thursdays, a what if, what could have been. And maybe, this multiverse is, you don't need one because Morris is going to be the better pick. What I think is a little fascinating about this story is a couple things. One, if Robert Kraft really wanted to fire Bill Belichick after 2022, maybe he has better options. Maybe he doesn't. You're not coming off a 4-win season. I think they won 5 games, I guess, the year before. But it hadn't gotten so bad like it did last year where they're one of the worst teams in the NFL. They're picking 3 in the draft. And maybe his reputation is like a tiny bit more intact if they had actually fired him after 2022 as opposed to after 2023 last year.
So you're saying it could have been a favor to Belichick to fire him earlier?
Maybe, but Jonathan Kraft, the son, according to this article, stepped in and said, let's keep Belichick for another year. And then the other part of it, I'm seeing a bit of a reaction to this. Now, granted, it's just the online reaction. The idea that people are shocked that Robert Kraft would have called Arthur Blank, owner to owner, and it said, don't hire Bill Belichick because he's a gigantic pain in the butt. He's arrogant. You can't trust him, all of those things. I get criticized sometimes because I'm hard on owners because I think they're ruthless people generally, because I think to make $1 billion, unless you just win a scratch-off lottery ticket, I think you generally have to be a pretty ruthless person to make that kind of money. And I'm just not surprised that an owner would be ruthless behind the scenes. I just think that's who they are. And listen, Robert Kraft can do great things for charity and have a great public image or whatever, but I also think behind the scenes it's very cutthroat. And so I'm not shocked that he would have called someone else and stabbed Belichick in the back.
But this is the opposite of cutthroat. Everyone knows how this works. Somebody calls about a former employee, even if you hated them, you say nice things. Because why would you go out of your way? You know this is going to come out. If he was ruthless, he would have said, go ahead, take Bill Belichick, have fun. There's nothing ruthless about this. I think it was being honest with a friend, which I would not have done. If somebody calls me about a former employer, I don't want that smoke. I'm just like, oh, yeah, that guy was great. Yeah, he was great to have around. Why would you give a negative review to Bill Belichick? You know that's going to come back behind you.
Because I think Kraft despised him at the end. I think they put it together. They put on a nice show for the final press conference or whatever, but yeah. I think that they really despised each other.
So why share that with Arthur Blank? Because honestly, I think it hurts Robert Kraft's legacy. I think that if he had known that was going to come out, because publicly he was the opposite. He said Bilbo's great, all that. I think he would have preferred for that to be the public stance and never get deeper than that. I don't think Robert Kraft actually wanted it out there that he was saying that Bill Belichick would not be a good coach moving forward.
Oh, I think it's a little bit Kraft, too, of trying to save a little face here that he chose the wrong guy. When it was between Belichick and Brady, and he chose Belichick, he got burned. Because Brady still had enough left in the tank, it turns out, to win another Super Bowl and did it easily with Tampa Bay. And I think that Kraft probably feels, A, like he never got enough credit for the dynasty anyway, because why wouldn't a billionaire think that? But 2, I think he's probably always a little bitter about that, I would imagine. He chose wrong. Right?
Maybe, yeah.
And I think he always said that Belichick was super arrogant. I also think the interesting part of this is saying the Belichick, the one place he could coach maybe is Dallas.
Yeah.
Now that would be an all-time. that'd be something really, really interesting. Okay. Bogusch is here with headlines. Let's do that. Got a lot of things going on today.
And not sure why this morning is the time to unveil the U.S. men's Olympic team for Paris this summer, but here we are, the 12-man group officially completed by Kawhi Leonard, which sounds an awful lot not like Jalen Brunson. It was apparently tough to get a yes out of Kawhi. The other 11 names came out a few days ago. That group included LeBron, AD, KD, Curry, Jason Tatum, and Anthony Edwards. Now, the Dream Team had 68 combined All-NBA selections back in 92. This dozen has 84 with this season's awards still to come.
Some of these guys were on the original Dream Team. Can we get Kawhi Leonard? They got older? How is this possible?
Got older.
I can't believe that. And they had to convince him. It's like they had to talk him into it. If I'm the Clippers, I hate this too because I just maxed him out again.
I know, and you can't get him healthy on the court. This is unbelievable. Why aren't they taking anybody under 30? What's going on here, Bogusch? What's your problem here?
I don't have a problem with it at all.
Grant Hill, I guess. Steve Kerr.
I'm surprised Grant Hill's not putting on shorts and joining this team. This team is ancient.
Yeah. I did see somebody say that they should put Cooper Flagg on this team, like Christian Laettner. No thanks. That's a hard pass.
I don't know. They might need a guy.
Yet.
They might need a guy to play some minutes. They're so old. This is ridiculous.
I love how they're saying that it was easier, I guess, that for these guys, the older guys, to be part of this team because it's also in Paris. I'm like, what are they going to be shopping? Like, what does that mean?
What do you mean it's easier? Like they're more used to international travel?
Well,
to get them.
They didn't want to go to Tokyo when the
Far away.
Olympics, And so now it's in Paris. It's like, I guess I can go to Hermes and I can also play
it's a
Spain.
6-hour flight. Also, you're not that far away.
Those guys, Paris.
On the East Coast.
In one of the media capitals of the world, so they can go and sell all the stuff they want to sell. Like, that's a big part of going to Team USA.
Yeah, I just think that definitely LeBron James needs to move more merch.
He's trying to own a basketball team. Honestly, he probably does.
So I know that EJ's mad that Jalen Brunson. Were there younger players? There's had to be guys in their 20s that were snubs. That aren't they going to need some fresh legs here?
Well, who are the young guys? They have Halliburton. They've got Booker.
Booker and Jason Tatum's not 30,
and
obviously. Anthony Edwards. And how old is Drew Holiday?
Old.
Yeah, he's older.
Is he old, or is he NBA old? Like, is he 30? He's not 30. He's not well past 30, right?
He's 33.
33?
He's old.
Now, EJ, honest question, who would you take off to put Brunson on?
Any of those guards should not be over Brunson. But
Including Halliburton?
Halliburton's the guy I'm taking for sure. But any of those guys should not be on the team instead of Jalen Brunson. It's just, and like, we can talk about team fit or whatever. The Jalen Brunson has been the best American basketball player in the NBA this year. And the only person you can argue with him is Jason Tatum. He's carried a Knicks team that is not that great in terms of talent because of the injuries they've had, and he's been awesome. I think the idea that Grant Hill put together LeBron's best friends, and LeBron pretty much earmarked like 9 roster spots as soon as they lost to Canada. Like, the buzzer didn't sound, and then you got the Woj report being like, LeBron already has 9 commitments to Team USA. I mean, that was ridiculous.
Well, I don't think the issue is who deserves to be on there. I think there's a real issue. Is this team good enough to easily win? Because LeBron skewed so old. What if these guys get hurt? I mean, I just don't think this team is that great.
Well, Bam Adebayo is another young player who's on this team.
But he's not that good.
Well, here's the question. Is Kawhi Leonard going to play, 30 seconds a game? I mean, there's no chance he's going to be playing any major minutes, right?
Yeah, so who is playing your major minutes? Are you going to let Tatum play a ton of minutes and have these Hall of Famers on the bench.
No, it's going to be the picture of health and Kevin Durant and Joel Embiid.
I know.
Can't wait.
Might as well get Anthony Davis out there. Like, his back is going to last. It feels like this is a risky team. Like, they could fall apart and lose to an international team.
I mean, they're extremely talented, and they're still going to be the very heavy favorites to win gold. But I do think that some of these teams that are built more like real teams, like there is no doubt, there's no pecking order of who the ball's going to when Serbia plays. Okay, that team is like playing the Nuggets. It's going to be the exact same as it would be if they were in the NBA. So there comes chemistry with that. With this team, where you have a bunch of all-stars in a one-game situation, which I think people forget about. Like, you have the pool play, but then you're in a one-game situation, and anything can happen. And Jokic or Giannis is on the other side. Who knows what could happen?
Bogusch, what else we got?
Let's get focused now on the play-in. The Lakers advancing after a trip to New Orleans.
Here is Reeves dribbling right all the way to the middle. Shilo for three. Got it! Huge three for Russell. Puts the Lakers up by 4.
And they won by 4, 110-106 to earn the 7 seed in a first-round date with the Nuggets. The highlight from John Ireland on Lakers radio. Now, there were some who thought the Lakers should lose this game so they could avoid Denver in round 1. Your thoughts, Darvin Ham?
Saying what again?
It'd be better off if you guys lost this game to avoid Denver in the first round, to play.
Insane asylum sources say.
Sure.
Nah. If you
it wasn't sourced. It wasn't.
Okay.
It was just chatter.
Just someone that just got out of the insane asylum.
The insane asylum to suggest that we should lose on purpose to get away from the Nuggets.
I mean, he's not mincing words there.
No, listen, it would have been crazy, but let's not pretend like teams don't schedule losses. You know,
they do.
Not in the play-in.
Not the play-in.
Yeah.
No, and they never were. But I'll be honest, when LeBron started jacking threes, I know he was tired at the end when he settles for threes like that. We've seen it happen with him when he needs a rest. But it did let New Orleans back in the game when they were down 18.
I mean, if they saw the latter game with the way the Kings were shooting against the Warriors,
Face of the ladder game makes it like a ladder match.
They saw the Miz up there.
I mean, I think the Kings would have been a real problem for LeBron in this next game. In fact, it'd probably be a 1-point spread Lakers, but that'd be tough. There's no way they were going to risk that. I can't even believe we were thinking that at the time. And I actually gave it a lot of thought to avoid Denver.
Yeah, definitely.
But losing in the play-in is not good.
Their spot a lot. It's not a new phenomenon. It's very risky in a play-in situation. I'll grant you that. But we see it happen all the time where teams are trying to line their postseason up in a certain way.
Right, but this particular matchup would have been death for them. They would have lost to the Kings because the Kings always beat them too, going back 2 years now.
One of the funny things about the play-in situation, talking about, where the team should be tanking the play-in, the fact that we don't really have a lot of history with the play-in. So we don't really know how teams are in theory going to play it. Like, there was a point last night, Reggie Miller, the game, obviously a very good game last night, he's like, this is what the play-in is supposed to be all about. I'm like, what is the play-in all about? This is like the third year we've done this. I don't know what the play-in is about. Like, is it about like playoff intensity? I mean, I guess, but like,
what's Bulls Hawks about?
Right, like.
But now we know the play-in teams can definitely make the finals because we had the Heat and then the Lakers made the conference finals last year. Like, it's legit. Like, somebody we're seeing this weekend could be alive for a long time.
Yeah, it's like the first 4 in the NCAA tournament. Like, those teams can go to the Sweet 16 now. It's not just a write-off. Wait, didn't Reggie have another moment last night?
We should probably get to that.
Bogusch, I don't know if this was part of your update.
It was not, so feel free.
What do we have? Reggie Miller. This is the end of the Lakers-Pels game when it's down to free throws now. And to credit Anthony Davis, hit him to put the Lakers ahead. Reggie with some interesting game strategy.
Here's things that you talk about on the bus as players. If he makes the first one, you're up 3. Do you try to purposely miss the second one knowing that they don't have any timeouts?
They have no timeouts.
And they've got to go coast to coast because as soon as you miss it, time is going to start as soon as it's touched. Or do you just make them both, be up 4, and game over? These are things that are discussed as teams.
Yeah. Lakers in 6 of 8. His Lakers lead by 2.
How much time was left on the clock at that point?
3 seconds.
Yeah, like 2.7 or 3, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great strategy.
Only bad teams discuss that kind of strategy, Reggie Miller.
No, I get it. Sometimes, do you want the choice that keeps the game alive or do you want the win? The fact that he goes...
Who can say?
he obviously figured out halfway through his take that this is nonsense. He goes, "Do you want to go 4 and game over?" Wait, what?
Delicious cheesecake or lima beans?
Yeah. It's like,
was he thinking about the LJ moment with the getting fouled on a 3-point shot, and that's it?
There is an actual basketball dilemma that I think he thought he was going to, but he didn't realize the score. Because me and my brother talk about this all the time. Now, if you have a shot where you can miss it and you're only up 2. Do you miss it when there's only 1 second left?
Yes.
And make them grab the rebound and try to do some crazy shot? Or do you make it and then let them inbound where they can do a play?
Right.
That is a real thing. That is a basketball debate. Going up 4 instead of going up 3 when there's no 4-point shot currently in the NBA seems like a no-brainer, but to Reggie, it wasn't last night.
I also heard him say, I think at the end of the first quarter, there were 0.4 of a second left on the clock. Whoever was inbounding was 94 feet away, and he said, "Don't foul here."
Yeah.
They weren't going to do anything with the ball to necessitate being fouled.
by the way, at that exact play, Gabe Vincent handed the ball to the official, and I actually breathed a sigh of relief. I'm like, "Oh, thank God that the Pelicans didn't foul." It was unbelievable. Did you have the same relief? I'm like, "Oh, this could be tense. Don't screw this up."
Those things usually make me think that I'm the dumb one.
Yeah.
When I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. So when Gabe gave the ball, I'm like, oh, no, okay, I was right. Reggie was wrong. I needed Gabe Vincent to just take the inbound and do nothing with it. So the world was correct in my head.
But the irony was Zion got fouled with 0.3 seconds left in one quarter, and he hit a shot at the end of the half.
Yep.
So there were 2 buzzer beaters at the end of quarters.
Yeah,
so.
but Reggie said his before that, right?
Yeah.
He didn't learn from the original danger.
It was one of the most bizarre comments. But the 4-point is going to go down. Reggie's going to have trouble getting past that
when
one.
he did
I think.
say, "Do you want to just hit this and win the game?" It was like, well.
Well, I also like this. He started
You
out
never
the
know
whole.
what the play-in.
He started this whole thing. This is when guys are on the bus talking. We had no direction. I had no idea. I was like, "What are they talking about? Instagram models?" I mean, what do you think they actually? What would you talk about if you were an NBA player? You're not talking about that, are you?
I mean, if you feel you're talking about if the coach is screwing you over, or a bad call, or probably something that has to do with your contract.
Yeah.
I imagine that's
who's waiting at the hotel in the next stop, what time we're going to land, that kind of stuff.
You know who I blame?
Money owed in the poker game on the flight.
Yep.
I blame the JJ Redick LeBron podcast. Everyone's trying to outsmart everybody else. And it's basketball. It's not It's the same thing with football. It's not rocket science. It's a game.
Here's a question. How many current NBA players who do not have a podcast themselves are actually listening to the LeBron, JJ Redick, red wine infused, all basketball talk pod?
Zero.
Zero. No shot.
Zero. I love the podcast.
You
but
think
no
John
NBA
Morant's
players doing
listening
it.
to this, or Zion?
I would need to listen to players that don't have a podcast.
I'll say point
It might be
1%,
8
I guess.
people.
Can I give you you said someone without a podcast. I would have said Draymond loves LeBron James, so he's probably
No, people who are
he's downloaded,
podcasting.
he's subscribed, he's done everything necessary.
Well, those guys need content, so someone's listening and aggregating it for you.
No, I'm
potentially.
sure they see it on social media, though. They know. They're very well aware of this ridiculous podcast.
I know, but the clips they put on social media are like 5 minutes long. Are you telling me that
No,
guys are hanging around for that?
I think there's an awareness of what JJ and LeBron are doing. I've never listened to it, and I fully loathe it, not even knowing the content.
Fully loathe it. That's the name of our new podcast, Fully Loathed.
That's a great question, though. What do actually talk about? Who cares what they talk about on the bus? Do they listen to any podcasts?
Well, I don't want to be totally stereotypical. I bet a lot of them were into this rap beef that's going on now because the world is into this. The Drake, J. Cole.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
Kendrick. Yeah.
Is that why you're taking paintings off your wall, EJ?
Yes. Oh, you saw that on TikTok. Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. Well, painting was cover art, but yes, J. Cole had to come off the wall because of some of the stuff he did.
AJ was very, very personally offended
I
that
think
J. Cole
I mentioned it in 2 pre-production meetings.
Yeah,
That's
so
how
we
mad I
still
was.
didn't bite on it. That basically J. Cole laid down the sword and would not participate in the rap beef.
Has he responded yet to your diss?
No. I had plenty of comments though being like, J. Cole ain't gonna see this, bro. I'm like, I don't care, bro. I don't care.
TikTokers ruthless. They all are. Bogusch, anything else?
I don't think I actually said that the Pelicans lost to the Lakers last night, and then the Kings beat the Warriors 118-94. So the Warriors are done. The Pelicans stay where they are. The Kings go to them. They play on Friday night. The winner is the 8th seed, and they get the Thunder in round 1. The East play-in takes over tonight. The Sixers and Heat decide the 7th seed in Philly. Then the Bulls and Hawks play in Chicago. The winner of that one gets the loser of the first game on Friday night as well. 2 extra inning baseball games last night. The Diamondbacks outscored the Cubs 12-11 in 10 in Arizona, and the Rays beat the Angels in 13, 7-6, and the Washington Capitals clinched the final playoff spot in the NHL's Eastern Conference, a 2-1 win in Philadelphia. And speaking of pseudo-rap battles, Taylor Swift and Kim Kardashian are not friends, and Adam Schefter thinks that's one of the reasons why Odell Beckham Jr. might not end up as a Kansas City Chief, because Taylor and Travis would not let Kim enter their
stratosphere.
Yeah, in Arrowhead.
We've got the sound. Let's hear it.
There would be 2 dominant personalities, female personalities, that don't necessarily coexist, that have what one person described as a big beef between the 2 of them. Can't do it. They can't sign Odell Beckham Jr. And I'll tell you this, they have talked to him in recent years. He has approached them. They have approached him. There have been conversations between those 2 particular parties, but
interesting.
Can't go anywhere this year for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is the big beef that exists between Kim Kardashian and Taylor. Who would have thought?
Good for Taylor.
And then Adam Schefter died.
Schefter is like, air quotes, reporting this like he's, like it's the Vikings trading up to 4 to get J.J. McCarthy.
He's shocked.
He is so tickled by that story.
Yeah, he
like
is.
when Perloff was like, "You gotta listen to this Adam Schefter podcast." I love Schefter, but I was like, "Oh, how good could it sound?" But then he's like, "I can't believe it. Who would have thought? I mean, a beef? Taylor Swift and Kim Kardashian. I mean, not Odell Beckham can't be a chief. Oh my God!" I'm like, I've never heard Schefter talk at this octave ever. And he talks 24/7.
Also, it made me think, wow, Schefter's life might be a lot more boring than we thought. Talking to all these GMs and coaches all the time and getting all this information must be pretty milquetoast if this is what gets him going.
And this is Kanye, really, right? Kanye and Kim K versus Taylor?
Yes.
Yes.
This goes back to a lot.
Years.
Right.
But the last one.
A song called Famous, and then they recorded Taylor, and it seemed like she was giving a permission, and then they released the recording, and it got bad. Anywho.
I'm team Taylor on that, by the way. 1,000%.
Yeah, big time.
Well, it's funny because she's like, Taylor said, I had to move to a foreign country and sort of like hide out for a little bit. It's like, you're living in London, kind of dating this really famous actor, hiding out in like,
You mean she wasn't in Kazakhstan?
Yeah, right. We're in like,
She didn't go to Sokovia with Scarlet Witch? and Pietro?
I'm actually shocked she wasn't in that movie you made me watch. Everyone else under the sun was. Thank you, Bogusch.
My pleasure, Maggie.
So I guess no Odell Beckham to Kansas City is the bottom line.
I think the Chiefs will be fine.
All right. Well, they might not have Rashee Rice for a while. We come back with a very unique draft strategy by one team looking for a franchise quarterback. So we get to that in just a moment. It's Maggie and Perloff. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Man, it's been a really fun show. I thought that this was a very unique strategy by the Washington Commanders, Perloff. And maybe it's just the opportunity, but they're doing something really unique. I've never heard of this. They are having all four of the top quarterback prospects outside of Caleb Williams, the other top, I guess, so the four of the top five. They're having these guys all in at the same time to do interviews. Now, according to Mike Garafolo of NFL Media, it started last night with like an outing to Topgolf.
Yeah.
And now it's going to continue today to meetings. I don't even know if they're working out. It's more just meetings and getting to know guys and seeing how they interact with each other.
Yeah. Well, it's also it's all their top 30 visits are all there. So it's 25 players or
something.
something.
Is that right? Okay.
So it's the entire draft class. I mean, listen, Topgolf sounds fun to me. What it says to me that these player visits are not what we think they are for Washington. And I always suspected this, that player visits are deceiving. Like, you decide who you want off the tape and maybe don't put as much into that player visit as we think. Well, because a lot of times, like, teams don't visit with guys and they draft them.
But not quarterbacks. Like, I feel like quarterback, maybe there's a couple instances here and there of a team. You're trying to find a franchise quarterback, especially Washington. You have a lot at stake here. New ownership group, new front office, new head coach. You know, you brought Cliff Kingsbury in, so a high-profile offensive coordinator. Dan Quinn's your head coach. You're picking second overall. You really need to get this thing right. And if this is a strategy that works, bringing all the guys in sort of together and kind of putting them all next to each other and getting a vibe, I guess. I think you could see more teams start to do something. You almost get like a mini scouting combine, just, the interview portion in your building.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they've said exactly that that's their strategy. No one's actually talked to Washington about why they're doing it like this. I'm not sure, because the fact that everybody's there must be something bigger going on. I don't think it's like, let's see who's the alpha in this group. You think that's what it is? Because I think it's more like, I don't know why they're doing this, but I think they have this idea, we want to knock out all these visits at once so we can start getting down to the individual work. I do not understand it. Also, it doesn't mean that they are not doing other stuff with these guys.
Oh, definitely. I think it's something that if Washington ends up getting the guy, I think you're going to see other teams be like, maybe that's a good thing for us to copy because it's a copycat league and because nobody has figured out a surefire foolproof way to pick a quarterback in the draft. It's still such a crapshoot.
Yeah, but I think people they're not going to copy this. But if they happen to get Jaden Daniels and he's awesome, they're not going to be like, oh, well, that's how they got him. Kind of like C.J. Stroud fell to Houston last year, and no one knew that was going to work. Obviously, Houston reportedly wanted Bryce Young, got C.J. Stroud, and he was awesome. So there's no rhyme or reason to any of that.
Again, but remember, it was the cognitive test or whatever that kind of dinged C.J. Stroud, and I bet
dinged him, but it didn't ding him at all. It turned out.
Right, but I guess I don't think anyone's going to use that again. I doubt that test where C.J. Stroud did poorly on it, and if there were any kind of conclusions made, then it's not going to get used again.
Did they not use it again this year?
I don't know. I'm just saying I think it's such a reactionary league, and everyone's looking for this certain type of edge.
Yeah.
And if they didn't find it with the S2 test, I think they would move on. Quickly, let's update our poll. We asked you today at Maggie and Perloff, which you can find on Twitter. What should the Warriors do now? So the Warriors lost last night to the Sacramento Kings. Season is over. The options were run it back or blow it up. 89% say blow it up. Are we seeing a little fatigue here? I know they won the title 2 years ago, but I wonder if this is Warrior fans saying, listen, this is as far as it's come with this core. You need something really different here, radically different, if you're going to challenge in what has become an ever increasingly competitive Western Conference.
I mean, I think it'd be a shame because blow it up means maybe getting to the play-in again. I mean, I would hate for them to go totally young and just throw away the last couple of years of Steph. Like they gotta do something. They gotta try something right. Or blow it up. I'm not sure exactly. People mean blow it up. It means basically rebuild.
I think. I mean, when you blow it up, you
Steph
blow
walk
it up.
out?
Well, so here's the thing, right? I saw our pal Chris Mannix put this out that the Boston Celtics did this when they could have tried to keep it going with the Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen situation. Didn't do it. Didn't try to squeeze the last couple years out. Instead, traded those guys. Got a haul back, and that is essentially those draft picks are now setting up the current Celtics team with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Now, listen, you've got to get some real suckers to give you unprotected picks. You got to find people who are going to want to trade out of the number one pick, like your 76ers did Perloff, and that's what handed Tatum to Boston. But
wow, that was way after. That was the Markelle Fultz. Sixers wanted Markelle Fultz. The Celtics wanted Tatum. Don't even get me started. Anyway, but here's the thing, though. That was three guys. Clay is a free agent, so what are you trading? Who are you bringing in? You really think they're not getting rid of Steph? When you say, if you rephrase the poll, would you get rid of Steph? What do you think the results would be?
I think it's going to be more at Steph's favor. Like, he would have to sign off on this. He would have to say, they're not just going to come in one day and be like, Steph, we're trading you to Dallas. He's going to have to be the guy who says, I think we've come as far as we can go. And I don't know if that's going to happen right now, but I know this. I don't love the run it back situation. I don't love, bringing Clay back and just keeping things going here and hoping your young guys take this giant step forward. Again, I don't know if it's a guarantee it's all going to click while Steph's still in his prime.
Would you consider a full rebuild? Just like rip the Band-Aid and say, this is it, let's just start over? It should probably be like a 4-year window.
I mean, I might have to consider it. I might. If this is my team and this is how good I think I can be, and I'm 10th place, I'm on the road playing the Kings in a play-in game. That's awesome.
I just don't think this is a team that can win 35 games. I just don't think that the Warriors would accept that. I don't think get into next year's draft like that. That's not the Warriors. You can't have Curry and start playing for a lottery pick, right?
No, that's the thing, and
that's what rebuild tear down
That's a
me.
blow it up. And that's why I'm advocating for them to really do some kind of facelift here to try to find another star to put with Curry and try to maneuver this as best as you can, because you have the incentive here by other stars to tell their team, I want to leave and I want to go play with Steph Curry. If this was a different league, if this is the NFL, you can't dictate where you're going. But in the NBA, you can. And if you have enough power, you can dictate where you want to go.
Yeah, but then you're going to get stuck with a Russell Westbrook or a James Harden or a Kevin Durant or a guy way past his prime, which has its downside. I'll tell you the best thing, Maggie, trust in Kuminga, trust in Moody, trust in Pods, trust in these young guys. They're young. They could get much better. I think those guys are pretty good. Maybe Kuminga becomes a star even. Isn't that something? I mean, he could be an all-star by next year.
I know, but you're giving me maybes. You're giving me hopes and wishes as opposed to how are we going to come.
A 38-year-old guy worth $55 million a year will play 32 games? I think mine's a little better.
Maybe. Okay. That's a show. Thank you, EJ Stewart. Thank you to Carlos Ortiz. Thank you to Andrew Bogusch. Thank you to Andrew Kaplan, the Weedos and Coffee Drinkers. You guys were on it today. Appreciate you so much. We're back tomorrow. It's Maggie and Perloff, Infinity Sports Network.